Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are San Diego.
South of downtown Atlanta, Turner Field, home of the Braves on a Southern hospitality Monday night. The first of a four-game series, the Padres and the Braves. As you can imagine, quite a reunion in the pregame tonight. Justin Upton, Cameron Maven, ex-Padre Craig Kimbrell, and an ex-Atlanta Brave, Melvin Upton Jr., Jace Peterson. Quite a mix and match of former Braves and former Padres have switched uniforms and ready to go to battle against each other tonight. As we welcome you to Turner Field, it's Monday night, and it's the first of a four-game series between the San Diego Padres, 3.5 out of first place. Atlanta Braves are only 3 back in the National League East. And good evening, everyone. Mark Grant, Dick Enberg, welcome to the South. The Atlanta Braves and the San Diego Padres. And the Padres, Justin Upton, they all know about him here.
Every lineup should have that one threat, and the San Diego Padres can look to Justin Upton. He's batting third, and generally your best hitter hitting at 297 is that threat. You get him up in the first inning. So we look at the NL rankings. Home runs, 8th. RBIs, 9th. 38 runs, but look at the bottom one. Here's the one I like. Clutch situations, comes up with big hits, 8 game-winning RBIs, tied for first. He's always in scoring position when he's up at the plate. Hey, the strikeouts are there. He's going to strike out 150 or so times, plus or minus. But give me that guy that strikes out 150 times, but has that punch potential. He can play in my lineup any day of the week, and the Padres have him.
All those numbers in the top 10 in the National League. Speaking of low numbers, we go to the right-hander, 24-year-old Shelby Miller on the mound tonight for Atlanta.
He's really thrown the ball well. With the exception of his last outing, he really got knocked around a little bit, and the control was not there. He throws a two-seamer, a sinker, and also a curveball, but works towards the bottom of the zone, trying to work for that grounder. When you look at NL rankings, the ERA below 2, the opponent's batting average, 2 complete games. His whip, he only allows 1 base runner per inning. That's not a lot of working out of the stretch for Shelby Miller. The key is to get him into the stretch as he works right there in the bullpen for the Braves. Multiple base runners and go to Hack and hopefully get him up in the zone, but he's throwing the ball extremely well. One of the best guys in Major League Baseball right now.
Well, yesterday, Johnny Cueto of Cincinnati shut out. The Padres are facing just as tough a right-hander in Shelby Miller tonight. Let's see if they can solve his mistake. Well, lots of emotions, as we said this evening. The Uptons and Kimbrells return to Atlanta, but not as Braves, but as Padres. Chris Budden with that angle of the story when we come back.
Welcome back to Atlanta. It's a homecoming for a few of these guys. Craig Kimbrell, Melvin Upton Jr., Justin Upton. There's Cameron Maven saying hello to his old teammates here as he was with the Padres, traded to Atlanta. For a couple of these guys, this is a nice little homecoming. They say it's great to be back. Also a little weird, as you can imagine. A couple of them joking that they went to the parking lot and took the wrong turn, didn't know how to get into the opposing clubhouse. But they all say that it's great to be back and see some old friends, and they miss a lot of things, except for one thing, the humidity.
I can feel it right now. I can't stop sweating. No, all in all, good ballpark, good fans, and unfortunately things happened the way they did, but it's over with now, and with a new team.
Cool. I get to see some old teammates, coaches, and play in a stadium I'm familiar with, so it's exciting.
A ton of great memories here. We were able to do a lot of good things on the field the 5 years I was here, and I'll never forget those. And, all the fans, they've always been so good to me. So it's going to be good to get out there and see some of the familiar faces. And but after that, it's just time to play ball.
And all three agreed on the same thing. While it's nice to be back once it's game time, it is game on as the Padres try and start a new win streak. Game one here in Hotlanta. It's cooled off a little bit. Hopefully not the Padres bats, as we got first pitch coming up on Fox Sports San Diego.
The stick. And you can decide who you're with by tweeting out hashtag I'm with and the last name of the broadcaster you think has the best pick. Don't pick me. If you're right, you could win a free foursome of golf at Sequan Golf Resort. I finished a -1 for the entire series in Cincinnati, so I'm not kidding when I say pick somebody else. Mark Grant likes Venable. Pomerantz goes with Alonso, Sweeney at Kemp, and our leader far and away in front, Chris Budden, and she gets the logical Upton selection. The weather is 83 degrees, but expected to drop into the high 60s. A 60% chance of showers. Hopefully that won't develop. As we look at the Padres lineup, brought to you by Toyota. Venable, Norris, Upton, Kemp, Alonso, much like the lineups we saw in Cincinnati. Middlebrook, Spangenberg. Barmes has started yesterday, also again today. So exactly the same lineup supporting Ian Kennedy. Shelby Miller, only 24 years of age.
And the scouting report for Shelby Miller, sponsored by Verizon. Well, this kid's good. Last time out, not so good, but above average stuff. He challenges the hitters. His numbers are just out of this world. We talked a little bit in the game open. Keep an eye on the cutter, the sinker. He also throws a curveball as well, but at times he can be erratic.
Well, you don't throw around this guy's got no-hit stuff loosely, but he almost threw a no-hitter this year, came within an out of no-hitting Miami. Defense for Atlanta. Cameron Maybin patrols center field with Cunningham and Markakis at the corners. Uribe, the former Dodger, and Simmons, the Gold Glove shortstop on the left side. Peterson, the ex-Padre, and Freeman, their top player and all-star at first base. And behind the plate, Brzezinski, and we're underway. First pitch strike at 95. Venable checks in at 254. 7th round pick of the Padres. We're going to show you that throughout the course of the game since the draft has begun just now and will continue through the night. The Padres will pick very late this evening. Their first selection is 51st overall. 1-2 to Venable. Padres forfeited their 13th in signing James Shields and lost their 41st pick in the trade for Kimbrel. So 51 will be their number 1 selection. And Miller starts with a strikeout of Venable. He's just 24 from Brownwood, Texas, where he was an all-state punter and wide receiver.
Goes from the first base side, extreme first base side of the rubber, and he throws a cutter on the outside part of the plate to get Will Venable. It's all about the movement of the fastball for Shelby Miller.
He had gone 10 starts, allowing 2 or fewer runs until his last outing in Arizona when he lost 7-6 to the Diamondbacks. Derek Norris takes it outside and low, ball 1.
Dick, I talked about the rubber and where Shelby Miller places his push-off foot right on the extreme first base side. That gives a good angle down and into the righties and a straight line on the inside corner to the left-handed hitters.
Up the middle, and there's Simmons on one hop to field and fire in time for the out. 2 away. Introducing tonight's umpiring crew, Paul Emmel calling balls and strikes. Jerry Meals, Andy Fletcher, and Jordan Baker working the bases. And Justin Upton, polite and friendly applause as he is introduced. While playing here in Atlanta, hit at a .280 pace, 32 homers and just 5 shy of 100 RBIs. Boy, a lot of sink. That's a heavy fastball at 95. His marks so far this year as a Padre, leading the way. 12 home runs, 37 RBIs. 96 on that fastball.
Shelby Miller will add and subtract on his fastball as well. He's going to live around 93, 94, but like you just said, Dick, 96, 97 at times. When he needs a little extra, he will reach back and do so.
Upton with a soft foul fly off first. Here comes Freeman, and he can't handle it as Shelby Miller interrupts action. Miller was calling for it, and the pitcher a little too aggressive. Freeman would have made the play. He blocked Freeman off the ball.
I heard some yelling. Wow.
Well, the
Shelby
former
Miller,
footballer, he took the punch.
He gets blindsided. Miller gets blindsided. Freddie Freeman just coming on in.
An error is charged to Miller. And that gives Upton another chance to swing. Fortunately, Miller's okay.
Definitely Freeman's ball on that one.
Slider outside. 1-2. Now 2-2. off first. And Freeman watches it drop about 5 rows back. Well, this facility for the Atlanta Braves won't be for long. Site of the 1996 Olympic Games, and the stadium transferred into a baseball park. A new baseball stadium being built north of Atlanta. And a full count.
Yeah, not too many times an organization builds a ballpark and is only in, what, 21 years? They'll be in 2017.
The new stadium, SunTrust Park. A year from now, 2017, they'll open the gates. And another strikeout. He gets both Venable and Upton in a 1-2-3 first inning. Chase Peterson, Cameron Maybin, 2 former Padres before Freddie Freeman bats. And the Braves lineup brought to you by Hyundai. After Freeman, Nick Markakis, the former Oriole, Juan Uribe, acquired from the Dodgers a couple of weeks ago. A.J. Brzezinski, well-traveled catcher. And Drelton Simmons, the Gold Glove the last 2 years at shortstop. Todd Cunningham in left field, a rookie. And Shelvin Miller on the mound.
Well, for Ian Kennedy, strike one with all of his pitches, and we talked about many times avoiding the 2-1 count. That swings in the favor of the hitter. Ian making his 10th start. He really made some great strides last time out. Keep an eye on that back leg of his. He doesn't break down. If he stays a little taller, he should be very effective.
In his career, he's 2-0 with a 3.54 against the Braves. And Chase Peterson, left-handed hitting second baseman, starts things. Peterson hitting well here at home, 297, overall 261. That home run was his first major league home run. He did not hit one with the Padres last year, and it was a pretty special home run, a grand slam against Matt Latos and the Miami Marlins.
Well, we know that Chase Peterson is a great athlete. When he was drafted, that's what the Padres liked about him. And talking to the Braves announcers before the game, they say he's been a breath of fresh air in that lineup, leading off a .337 on-base percentage. He's done a fine job.
Came over in the Justin Upton deal. .92 on the fastball from Kennedy.
You know, one thing, Dick, in this 4-game series against the Braves, probably going to see a lot of balls put in play. This Braves team does not strike out a lot. The fewest strikeouts in the National League. In the middle of the pack as far as walks.
Fouled off catcher Norris. It stays at 1-2. Exactly, statistically, they put the ball in play for every strikeout, 5.51. Balls are put in play. Ground ball softly to third. Middlebrooks hustles his throw across in time for the out. And the Padres defense here in Atlanta, brought to you by your San Diego County Ford dealers. Upton and Kemp at the corners. Venable in the expanse of center field. Middlebrooks, Barmas, Spanchenberg, Alonso around the horn with Norris behind the plate. Cameron Maybin, last 9 games hitting .415, raising his average up to .296. Had 3 hits yesterday against Garrett Cole of the Pittsburgh Pirates, who shut out the Braves 3-0. So both teams shut out yesterday. Padres 4-0, Johnny Cueto in Cincinnati, and Cole got the Braves 3-0 here in Atlanta yesterday. Freddie Gonzalez, the manager. 1-1. Boy, already it's hard to believe Gonzalez 5th year since replacing Bobby Cox.
I'll be quite honest with you. I thought Bobby Cox was going to be the manager forever and ever and ever. Amen.
2-1. Gonzalez managed the Marlins for 4 years before taking over here. Hall of Famer Bobby Cox, his number 6 retired. Went into the Hall last year. Watch out. Late swing line drive. And it's 2-2 to Cameron Maybin.
Melvin Upton Jr. back in Atlanta
as a Padre, his first game in a Padre uniform. Just missed. 3-2.
Well, looked like Ian pulled the string on that one. 85. It may have been a changeup, but good recognition. Nice take by Cameron Maybin.
Maybin has faced Kennedy before. 3 for 14. To the second shortstop, and a long throw. Barmas in time for the out. Couple of groundouts from Ian Kennedy.
I think the success of Ian Kennedy this evening is going to be the location of the fastball. Watch how he buries his fastball into Cameron Maybin. And that's getting in there 3-2. It ties him up. He hooks that ball, hits the top of it for the easy 6-3 play. That's a good pitch by Ian.
Freddie Freeman is an Ironman of sorts for the Braves. This is his 225th consecutive game. And the shift is on. Second baseman Spanchenberg out in right field. Middlebrooks is very close to second. Wide open on the left side to Freeman. Ball 1. Leading the team in home runs, doubles, RBIs. Runs scored, hits. 2-0. Southern California product. Orange County.
Well, with that foul ball down the left field line, you have to look at the outfield defense. I mean, we mentioned the shift with Corey Spangenberg being the rover out in shallow right field. Hits the ball in the air the other way, shaded towards the left field line is Justin Upton.
Ooh. Didn't go. 3-1.
Pretty good pitch.
Line drive, base hit. Kemp over to cut it off. Freeman has the first hit of the game.
Pitch on the outer half, it looked like, and Freeman going out and getting it. You can see him roll that top hand over. Watch him go out and get it. Foot is down, hands are back. Go out and get it. Head down and wrap that ball. Serious top hand, hooking that liner to right center field.
Little first baseman chat there with Alonso. Nick Markakis steps up. He was a first-round pick 12 years ago in the draft by Baltimore, the 7th overall selected.
He'll hack at the first pitch if it's a good one.
Takes inside. You saw his season numbers. Weren't you a little surprised to see the home run total or lack of? Has not hit a home run. 62 hits, no home runs for Markakis. That's in there.
The on-base percentage at .383 is nice. I'm sure Nick Markakis would love to hit the home run and see the .295 average. You know, that's a topic of discussion too amongst hitters. You know, do you try to put a little bit more oomph in your swing and then sacrifice a little bit on the other end of the average and the on-base percentage end of it?
Foul tip into Norris's glove. 1-2. Anytime you hear neck surgery, you kind of wince and you wonder about an athlete's career. But Markakis successful neck surgery in the offseason, playing as well as ever. The Braves start tonight 27-29. The Padres 29-29. Braves only 3 games back of the Mets, and the Padres trail the Dodgers 3.5 games. Out of play. Interesting, Mark, that Saturday all 5 NL West teams won, so there's no change. Yesterday all 5 NL West teams lost, so no change. Treading water over the weekend.
No, it's unbelievable. That's why I think the West is kind of open. When you look at the standings, you know, Colorado 5 games below 500 in last place, but only 6 games out.
Yeah, it's the most contentious of all the divisions.
Yeah. And which team is going to get on that run, that ridiculous run, like 10 out of 15?
93 on the fastball, missing away. 2-2.
That's a good sign with the velocity of the fastball from Ian. It means he's staying on top of the ball. He's not pushing the ball. The mechanics are in order. Maybe a changeup right
here. And the count full. That'll get Freeman off. Second 3-2 count of the first 4 batters.
Kind of worked around that last pitch on that changeup. It's amazing as a pitcher, immediately you know that you have your mechanics out of whack just a little bit. That's all it takes.
Alonso now shifts behind the runner. Freeman guarding the line deep at first. Deep to left field. Upton going back to the wall and makes the catch right in front of Ian Kennedy. Gave him a little glove kiss there as he clutched the final out. Top of the second, Matt Kemp will be aboard for the Padres. Kemp to lead it off with Alonso and Middlebrooks to follow.
And some injury updates to give you for the Padres. Good news and bad news. We'll start first with the bad news. Brandon Morrow, during his rehab assignment, felt some soreness in that right shoulder again after 49 pitches, so they pulled him out of the game. He flew back to San Diego today to have an MRI, so we will have more information on that tomorrow, but it's the same injury that he's been dealing with in that right shoulder. As for Will Myers, he is in Las Vegas rehabbing with the Chihuahuas. Last night went 2 for 5, and the good news on that is that there was no pain in that left wrist, so he will be back in the lineup today. And as soon as we get more information on Brandon Morrow, Dick, we'll let you know.
All right, thanks for that report. So Morrow, that doesn't sound good. The same soreness in the shoulder that he's been rehabbing, and Myers trying to jump back into that lineup, 2 for 5, and he's been missed. Matt Kemp. His bat coming alive over the weekend. That one right back to the pitcher Miller, and an easy 1-3 putout. 4 up, 4 down so far for Miller. And here's Yonder Alonso.
And remember, Odrisamer Despaigne and Brandon Morrow were on the same day as far as starting, so probably think that that start coming up on Friday against the Dodgers would be Odrisamer's start, since he is in the mix now.
Rest of this series, Shields tomorrow night, Tyson Ross on Wednesday, and Cashner on Thursday, a day game Thursday. Ground ball up the middle, and off the glove of Peterson, and a base hit for Alonso, the Padres' first hit.
Swinging early. Against Shelby Miller, why not? You don't want to get in a hole if he's going to bury one right down the middle or outer third. That one off the bat hit the sweet spot, and a good effort by Jace Peterson.
One out single. Will Middlebrooks, the hitter. Padres' second leading home run hitter with 8, behind Justin Upton's 12. 95. You might wonder, here is a man 24, Shelby Miller. Last year he was 10-9. The year before he was 15-9, and yet the Cardinals let him go. They did receive, of course, a good player in Jason Hayward. There you give and you get.
Yeah, and always the Cardinals seem to bounce back. When you have injuries like Adam Wainwright, and they're thinking, it's just a chance you take when you make a trade. To have an impact player every day like a Jason Hayward, like you said, Dick, it's give and take.
High chopper up the middle. That's a tough play for Peterson, but he makes it nicely, and there's 2 away with Alonso moving into scoring position. Corey Spangenberg trying to drive in the run. Half a dozen RBIs this year. First round pick of the Padres 4 years ago.
So we saw a nice play by Jace Peterson. That's one of the nice things about this Atlanta Brave team. They can catch the ball. Tied for second fewest errors in Major League Baseball. They can catch it.
That Simmons at shortstop has made 1 error all year. Spangenberg lifts that foul off third. It'll be away from Uribe.
And that's pretty much what you come to see with Andrelton Simmons, is his fielding, because the hitting a little questionable, the running a little questionable. Yeah, it can be a nail biter when he's at the plate, but defensively he's as good as they come.
He takes hits away.
Yeah.
Same place. 2 strikes on Spangenberg. Miller, when he won 15 games 2 years ago, was 3rd in the National League Rookie of the Year balloting, behind Jose Fernandez of Miami and Yasiel Puig. Another late swing. Alonso will have to hurry should a ball be hit to the outfield. They're all playing shallow. Another late swing and a foul deeper down the left field line.
96.
What ball? That man said he's already got it hidden. '96.
You know, I know each team has spray charts on hitters, but Dick, you mentioned it with Todd Cunningham in left field. He's really playing shallow, isn't he? Corey Spangenberg gets something up and away. He can really shoot it that way. Over his head. Maybe in that gap. Maybe playing on the shortstop side, the second base and center field.
Another late clout. Spoiling a lot of good pitches, Spangenberg.
There's that gap. Excuse me.
High technology. Go get him, kid.
Yeah.
There you are. Hey, that's nice. The blue arrow comes out. Even the off-speed pitches are swung on late. So the 8th pitch of this at bat coming up. 2 outs. Alonso at second base for the Padres. A ball, 2 strikes on Spangenberg.
A lot of pitches been away. Let's see if Miller tries to elect going with a cutter inside, maybe. Oh, going away again.
Same result. Spangenberg peppering the crowd on the third base side. Brzezinski goes out to the mound, perhaps with a suggestion of how to get one by Spangenberg.
Does he have that one pitch to entice that hitter to maybe swing at it and hit off the end of the bat rather than bouncing one at 1 and 2?
Spangenberg with 7 fouls in this at bat. And he drives this one into the right field corner for a base hit. Here comes Alonso to score, and Spangenberg finally pulls one, and it's good for an RBI double. And the Padres lead it 1-0. Well, took him a while to figure that out. Fouled off the good ones, got one he liked, and ripped it into the corner for a double.
He got what he liked all right. Why? Because this pitch is in. Tries to bury a cutter in. And Corey Spangenberg is very quick to this baseball after fouling off a bunch of pitches away. He puts a good swing on this one right into his swing path, and he beats Shelby Miller, and the Padres get on the board. That's a great at-bat for Corey Spangenberg.
His 7th run batted in this year on his 5th double. Here's Clint Barmas. Chopper foul past Glenn Hoffman.
So see, as a pitcher, you look at that, and Miller tried to make an adjustment. I don't think he stayed with his strength right there because he was having weak swings, fouling it off. Stay away, keep it down, give him left field. I think Corey Spangenberg has more power to right field than he does to left field. And Corey did a nice job of beating Miller there.
Barmas with a chopper to third. Uribe can't make the tag there, but does throw out Barmas. Padres on a single by Alonso, a ground out, and Corey Spangenberg's double take a 1-0 lead. already some blood here in this first game of the 4-game series as the collision between Shelby Miller and Freddie Freeman there in foul territory. Kennedy staked to a 1-0 lead. Juan Uribe opens the second. Uribe, he's done a good job since coming over to Atlanta. 7-game streak, hitting .370. There are his combined numbers: 267 LA and Atlanta. 2-0. On the corner, 2-1.
That's generally where you want to pepper away at Juan Uribe, down and away. When you get to 2 strikes, he will swing at the breaking stuff down and away. You don't want to throw that slider for a strike like that. It's either a little cutter or a slider. Perfectly located by Ian.
You know, when players are traded, sometimes you hear nothing from the clubhouse from whence they came. In Uribe's case, the Dodger clubhouse. But in his case, we were there. We got him. That's the first strikeout for Kennedy. The Dodgers were saying to the man how much they're going to miss him in the clubhouse. What a good teammate he was. You know, just an all-around good player, good guy.
Good reputation, you bet.
1 out to A.J. Pierzynski, the veteran catcher. Anthony John Pierzynski, thank you. Shift is on. Hitting .264. And takes ball 1.
See Corey Spansbury playing the rover out there. And Will Middlebrooks all by himself on that left side of the infield.
181 career homers for Pierzynski. As a left-handed hitting catcher, he's in the top 5 all time. Yogi Berra at the most. AJ now with 181 for them this year. Line drive, left field, base hit. Upton trying to get it before it rolls to the corner, but by the time he does, too late to do anything with Pierzynski. And a lead 1-out double for Pierzynski. He always could hit, huh?
You know what? As soon as I look at this, I'm just guessing Pierzynski's trying to protect. I don't know if that's his intent of going that way. Sure, we see the shift. We see Will Middlebrooks over there all by himself. But that pitch was on the inside part of the plate. I just think he tried to foul it off. And that ball just happened to go down that way. Any way you look at it, that's a double for A.J. Pierzynski.
Brings up the shortstop, Andrelton Simmons, who's hitting .262. 23 RBIs.
I think Simmons has one thing in mind when he's at the plate: home run. Same swing. No 2-strike approach.
He was a second-round pick from Curacao by the Braves 5 years ago. Strike 2 at Caribbean Island. He was the shortstop, and Didi Gregorius, now the shortstop with the Yankees, was his second baseman.
Pretty nice little combo there as you look at the highest with runners in scoring position in Major League Baseball.
Braves are getting the money hits. Waste one, low and away, 1-2. And Jurickson Profar also on that team. So 3 basically Major League shortstops.
Yeah. And remember, it all goes back to Andrew Jones back in the day when the Braves drafted that kid out of Curacao. And what a career he had.
Yeah, that little island has produced some terrific little league teams. Line drive, foul down the right field line. Pierzynski returns to second, 1 out, and 1-2 on Simmons with Todd Cunningham, rookie left fielder, switch hitter on deck. Padres leading 1-0 here in the bottom of the second. Tried to go to right field. Well, the good news, when the Padres score first, they've done well. It's 20-6. And they have the early lead tonight. Lined again, same place.
Early breaking stuff down and away, and the fastball peppering down the right field line. If Ian can bury some type of fastball in or a changeup in, he's thrown a couple changeups into righties. And the Fox Tracks brought to you by Honda. Those pitches, that's where you get into trouble up there, up and over the plate. Easier for a hitter to just spank it to right field.
Curveball grounded to the right side, and Alonso to glove it and beat Simmons to the bag. Brzezinski over to third base, 2 away. How about the keys to the game tonight, Mark Grant? Brought to you by our San Diego Honda dealers.
Well, I'm hoping that the Padres get to Shelby Miller early. Last time out was his worst outing of the year. It was at Arizona, 4 1/3. He gave up 4 earned runs and shut down the Braves with runners in scoring position. Shut down the hitters when they have runners in scoring position. Freddie Gonzalez's team hits well above 300.
Well, you got Cunningham up there, first base open. The pitcher due next. Let's see how Kennedy decides to pitch to Cunningham. High ball 1. Hitting left-handed, Cunningham 292. As you see Miller, who has only 1 hit all year and 21 at bats. Second round pick of the Braves 5 years ago. High again.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Ian Kennedy wants to give much to Cunningham. Both pitches up and away.
Took something off that delivery. 2-1. Three and 1.
Well, Shelby Miller on deck. He's 1 for 21 this year with 11 strikeouts. So
he's going to try to take a chance.
Yeah.
Cunningham is 26. Product of Jacksonville State, Alabama, not Florida. Lifted left field. Upton's going to run out of room, however. Just into the crowd. Full count. Based on that pitch at 3-1, it looks like Kennedy wants to try to get Cunningham and force Miller to lead off the next inning.
Well, here comes a fastball away.
Strike 3 called. He does strike him out. Couple of punch outs. Ian Kennedy in the second inning, and the Braves lead Brzezinski at third. On to the third, 1-0 Padres. you by Geico. October 1998, NLCS Game 1. After a rain delay of 2 hours, the Padres and Braves begin play into extra innings. A 10th inning solo home run from Ken Caminiti gives the Padres the 3-2 lead and a series opening win. October 7th, 1998.
Oh, what a great win. What a great series. A great year for San Diego. And then on to New York after beating the Braves for the World Series.
That was Game 1. Got him off on the right foot.
And it was a strike from Mark Langston to Tino Martinez. Anyway, Dick.
Top of the third. Kennedy 1 for 13 so far with the bat. Shelby Miller just misses there. 1-1. Padres in a nice little run here. The last 12 games, they're 8-4.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed in Cincinnati from the hitter standpoint, putting together good at-bats, patience at the plate, especially against those rookies they faced.
And another strikeout for Miller. His third. Top of the order, Will Venable. He struck out to open the game. Well, I know there's some Atlanta Braves fans around where I live in San Diego, and they like to know when Atlanta comes to town. Well, here it is. They'll visit Petco August 17th, 18th, and 19th. And you can always get your tickets in advance. Make sure you get the best seats.
They're always a team that travels well, right? When they come to San Diego, a lot of fans.
Good numbers against the Braves for Venable. Pops it up. Foul off third, and that'll be back into the seats. Right adjacent to the Atlanta dugout. Or the Padre dugout, rather. A ball and a strike to the Padre leadoff man. Line drive left field, and that's going to fall for a base hit in front of Cunningham. Venable goes the opposite field for a 1-out single, and that'll bring up Derek Norris.
Shelby Miller will try to go upstairs with the fastball. That looks like a two-seamer up and away, and Will Venable, boy, if this ball is taken, it's most likely off the plate, but he stays on it nicely, doesn't overswing. Good job by Will.
Only 3 stolen bases this year for Venable. And as many as 22, his best year as a Padre. Norris grounded to short his first time. And that ball hit high in the air to left field. Cunningham toward the line, has a play. Venable stays at first. There's 2 away.
Well, you know, there's a lot of stats in this game of baseball, and there's one in particular that really shines for Shelby Miller. The ball put in play, right? When a ball is put in play, what the average is at the major league level, the average is from 295 to 305. When a major leaguer puts the ball in play, that's the average on that ball. For Shelby Miller, when a ball is put in play, the average is 217. That gives you an idea how well he's pitching.
And overall this year, 187. That's the 3rd lowest batting average against the pitcher in the majors. So you're just not going to get many hits. The Padres have 3 tonight and a run. Upton struck out swinging his first time.
A.J. Pierzynski behind the plate has only thrown out 13%, 4 out of 30 this year.
That's enticing for the Padre potential base stealers. Inside again, 2-0. Pierzynski and Miller reunited here in Atlanta. They were together when Miller came up with the Cardinals. Goes off speed, 2-0.
I think A.J. Pierzynski is a good pickup for these Braves. Veteran pitchers and rookies alike. I think he's a general out there. He's a leader. He's accountable. Knows how to call a game.
2-2. Comes back at 96. You know, when they have these votes, informal ballots for most unpopular player, Pierzynski's usually on there. I think that's a compliment. That means that we don't like a guy. He's a little too good in some ways.
Yeah.
Ooh, that was close. Good move by Miller.
Oh, he was motioning towards second base and diving towards the outfield part of that bag there, away from the middle and inside part of that bag. Farther tag for Freddie Freeman. He was twitching a little bit.
Two and two. He goes high, throw by Pierzynski, not in time, and that's steal number 4 for Venable this year. And a full count. Upton, a base hit could give the Padres another run.
So the straight steal, a success for Will Venable. High leg kick from Shelby Miller. A pitch that was up. Hey, not a bad throw. Just look where this throw is. Yeah, way out in front of the bag. Peterson having to go way out in front of the bag there for that throw.
3-2. And he struck him out anyway. Blew him down with a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Middle of the third, 1-0 Padres. Padres baseball brought to you by your San Diego Lexus dealer. By Petco, what we feed them matters. By RCP Block and Brick. Start your outdoor project at rcpblock.com. And traffic always seems heavy going through downtown Atlanta, Georgia. As we go to the last of the third, pitcher Shelby Miller leads it off for Atlanta. Then it'll be Jace Peterson and Cameron Maybin. 1-0 San Diego. Only one hit in 21 at bats this year. There's his career numbers, 128 overall. Breaking ball in there.
Oh, Ian's thrown a few curveballs this evening, and that one looked like a doozy.
Just a little low. Speaking of traffic, we better hit the early bus tomorrow.
Why is that?
Rolling Stones concert tomorrow night here in Atlanta. They're staying in our hotel. I suppose you've gone up and had coffee with them, haven't you, Mick?
Well, I had lunch with Mick today.
Yeah.
He's giving me the set that they're going to sing the songs and what time they're going to hit the stage. You know.
Craig Kimbrell. Padres hope they'll get a chance to appear tonight. That would be a good sign, wouldn't it?
Got to make short work here, or put away, I should say, Shelby Miller. You do not want to walk the pitcher.
Struck him out. Number 3 for Kennedy. Leadoff man Jace Peterson. Peterson grounded out to Middlebrooks at third in the first inning. Just had a dismal start with the Padres last year. Only 6 hits and 53 at bats. But even though he didn't hit, you just liked the young guy. He worked hard. He hustled and great attitude. He has that football mindset. He was a safety at McNeese State. Oh, 0-2.
Hey, good fuzz on the fastball for me and Kennedy here in the third inning. 93. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. But it's all about the location. You throw 98. If you don't have the good location, it could get turned around.
A little wrinkle there. Low and inside. Change up, 2-2. Ian making his 10th start of the season, looking for his 4th win.
No problem staying loose here in Atlanta, Dick, huh? Working up a lather out on that mound.
Even though it's not, you know, super humid
right.
or very hot, but it's, you can feel it. And another full count, his 5th of the game, including going 3-2 on the pitcher Miller to lead it off here in the third. That's not good for your pitch count. Cameron Maybin on deck. 56 pitches, 7 outs. Left field, foul territory. Middlebrooks gives it a look.
Well, that was a fastball away, 3-2. Let's see if Ian Kennedy doubles up as they're passing the egg around, showing everybody. Okay, what do we got going here? What do you want to throw him here? How about a fastball away?
And a line drive away. Base hit Peterson. 3rd hit for the Braves. 1-out single brings up Cameron Maybin.
When we saw the sign, we saw the glove of Derek Norris. That's exactly where Ian Kennedy wanted to throw it. And with 3-2, Jace Peterson has to protect. That's a nice job of hitting by the Braves' second baseman.
The Braves, 2 of their 3 hits have been to the opposite field. Maybin grounded to short his first time. 393 games as a Padre. His cumulative average 246. Starts tonight at 296. Foul.
Well, whenever I think of Cameron Maybin, I think of his dad, Rudy. Became friends with him and the team. Always watching his son Cameron on TV. And I'm sure for Cameron, it's great for his dad as well. Be able to come to maybe Atlanta and see him more in person. So good for Cameron from a family standpoint, being traded to the Braves.
And it's closer to Asheville, North Carolina, home base for the Mabins. Change up out in front.
Keeping the ball down nicely this at bat.
Black studying the action. Maybin, a #1 draft pick. Oh, gets by Norris, and that moves Peterson into scoring position. Wild pitch.
Looked like he yanked a changeup. It was registered at 84.
So Maybin and Freeman will get a shot at tying it up.
I want to correct myself of a statistic I gave last time the Braves were at the plate with runners in scoring position. Cameron Maybin this season, 474. I said over 300 for the Bravos. To be exact, going into this game, 297. Still a good clip.
Very good.
I just thought I'd throw that out there.
They were 0 for 7 yesterday. They were over 300 prior to that shutout by Cole of Pittsburgh here on Sunday.
See if Cameron Maybin chases something if Ian Kennedy elects to go out of the zone.
Line drive, base hit. Peterson around third scores, and Maybin delivers against his former team. It's 1-1.
It looked like a fastball. It looked like a fastball up and away, and Cameron Maybin was short and quick to that, staying on top of it and rifling that ball exactly where it was pitched. Boy, short to that ball. High leg kick, hands are back as soon as that ball is to the hitting zone, and short and quick to that baseball the other way, not trying to pull it.
That's a different swing from the big looping swing we saw as a Padre. He's tightened up things considerably, and he produces the run here. The wild pitch setting up. Peterson at second base, and Maybin driving him home. So the ex-Padres, Peterson and Maybin, collaborate on the first Atlanta run tonight. Freeman singled sharply to right his first time. Last 10 games, batting at a .351 clip. He had a 9-game hitting streak until yesterday. And he's hitting home runs. 5 home runs in the last 9 games. Maybin, a threat to steal. He has 9. Shift on for Freeman. Again, Middlebrook's closer to second than third. Over but low.
Boy, that's paint right there as you take a look at the shift. 3 heavy on the right side with Alonso holding on the runner. And Middlebrooks over towards the second base bag, almost at a shortstop position at double play depth.
That's about as extreme as you're going to see a shift. 4 men within 100 feet. Still plenty of daylight here in Atlanta. Closing it on 8:15 in the evening.
Well, Ian Kennedy smelling something possibly with Cameron Maybin over there at first base.
Freeman waiting. 2-0 the count. Change up. 2-1.
Not a good swing from Freddie Freeman. Looked like an awkward swing on that changeup. Remember last time when he got that single to right field, he went out and got a fastball on the outer half of the plate and hooked it to right center.
That one sails into the second deck off to the left. It's 2-2. Fourth time he's thrown over.
You have to keep an eye on that pitch count. Already 67 pitches, bottom of the third.
All those 3-2 counts really hiking the pitch count. And he's 2-2 on Freeman.
Fastball in.
There he goes, and it's fouled away.
Curveball. Change up grip for Ian Kennedy. Starts that way and then adjusts accordingly in his glove, according to what sign was put down by Derek Norris.
He goes inside. Norris's throw not in time. Number 10 for Maben. And another 3-2 count to the hitter. So a wild pitch got Peterson to second. He scored on Maben's single. Now Maben with a stolen base in scoring position with a stolen base.
And went with a breaking ball, a curveball down and in. So Derek Norris had to reach across his body, catch that baseball, come up firing. And that breaking ball gives a hitter maybe in a little extra time to get to second base.
Ground ball right through the left side. Nobody there. Maben streaks around third. He'll score easily. It's 2-1. Really a good hitter, Freddie Freeman.
Look at him hit down on this baseball. Fastball, belt buckle high off the plate. Watch the hands get on top of that baseball and rifle it where there is no defender. Almost right at his teammate Cameron Maben, leading off second base.
First inning line drive single to right, then a low liner to left field to drive in his 35th run, leading the Braves. Here's Nick Markakis. 3 consecutive singles to produce 2 runs. Peterson, Maben, and Freeman. After pitcher Miller started the inning striking out. Markakis chased Upton all the way to the wall in left field to gather his drive in the first inning. Braves doing everything right here in the third, taking advantage of the wild pitch, delivering the stolen base. Maben, and some clutch hitting.
Spraying those hits all over the field, these Braves this inning. You're absolutely right, Dick. Peterson, left-handed hitter, going to left. Cameron Maben, right-handed hitter, going to right. And Freddie Freeman hitting that hole on the shortstop side of second base, beating the shift.
5 hits for them to the opposite field. Off the fist and out of play. Markakis, when he was drafted in the first round, there was some question at the time, would he be a major league pitcher or a major league hitter? I mean, he threw up in the high 90s in high school. Baltimore soon fell in love with his bat, and here he is. Right field corner, not hit well, but directed perfectly. Freeman around second to third. They're waving him home. And he'll score on a double by Markakis. It's 3-1.
Looked like Ian Kenny just didn't bury the curveball enough as Nick Markakis hits his 15th double. Curveball down and in. Gets the hands through quickly enough to barrel up that baseball in the bat rather than hooking it foul. Breaking ball speeding up the bat. I think it wasn't the curveball, it was just the location of that curveball. Enough of them to keep it fair.
4 consecutive Atlanta hits. Peterson single, Maben single, RBI, Freeman RBI single, and now an RBI double Markakis. Juan Uribe struck out the first time. 3-1 Atlanta here in the third. Change up to start Uribe. Long inning for Kennedy. He has only 1 out, and this is the 30th pitch of the inning coming up. Off the fist, foul.
Struck out Uribe his first at bat with a good 2-seamer down and in. The first 2 pitches this at bat in, tying him up. Oh, that's a heavy workload right there.
7 outs and 75 pitches. Markakis with his 16th run batted in for the Braves. Darren Balsley studying the motion of Kennedy. Trouble getting an out here. High fly ball, shallow and right. Head coming in and calling. And there's 2 away. Our closed captioning tonight, fans, brought to you by Wiener Schnitzel. 2 gone, and A.J. Brzezinski, who doubled his first time, steps up with Markakis at second. Evidence of how long Brzezinski's been around and how he's been moved from team to team to team to team is he's hit a home run in 31 different major league ballparks.
That's a pretty cool little nugget right there.
Yogi Berra hit more home runs than any left-handed hitting catcher in history, 358. Brzezinski is 19 away from 200.
It's a nice 18-year career right there for A.J. Brzezinski, starting back with the Gulf Coast League Twins in 1994.
Missed inside, 1-1. Change up. off the plate, but Brzezinski offers 1-2.
Getting the tomahawk treatment. Braves fans, Padre fans, having a little fun, getting along, enjoying a big league ball game.
Did he go? Yes, he did. A breaking ball gets Brzezinski, and the inning comes to an end, but not until the Braves tally 3 on 4 hits.
You know, the weather out in California is a little more bearing, and makes you want to go outside a little bit more. You know, it is a different lifestyle. Getting used to the time change has been a little bit, calling home to the family. We're all on different times, but that's just part of it. And you know, the ball club we have here is amazing. We have tremendous talent, and we haven't really played up to what we should so far this year, but I think it's just a matter of time until we turn it around.
Craig Kimbrell talking about his first year in San Diego and comparing it to the summer humidity and high heat here in Atlanta. Middle 3 of the order, Kemp, Alonso, and Middlebrooks against Shelby Miller in the 4th inning. Miller now working with the lead, 3-1. Kemp tapped to the mound his first time, fouls that away, 0-2.
It's a nice little streak he's got going right there. Modest 4 game at 438.
Best since early April. Padres run in the second, a single Alonso, a ground out, and Corey Spangenberg's double. And Kemp can't find a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. 5 strikeouts for Miller. And let's check our T-Mobile game changer. Craig Kimbrell as a Brave, 186 saves, all-time high for Atlanta. John Schmaltz going into the Hall of Fame this summer. Garber, Wohlers, and Rocker. And Kimbrell with 13 with the Padres, now with 199 career saves. Yonder Alonso. Single to center field. Actually a dive by Jace Peterson. They got his glove on it, and it rolled out into shallow center. And he came around to score on Spangenberg's double. 1-1. The real student of saves for the Atlanta Braves doesn't stop with Kimbrell in the top 5. 130th on the list is Mark Grant.
Oh.
Grand total at memory serves me, I think you 3 saves, huh?
I guess.
Hubba hubba.
I'm sure there were more blown saves than saves.
2-2 to Alonso. Hey, every stat counts. You just mentioned that. They're all important. You're in the book. They can't take you out of there.
I remember playing with Mark Wohlers, and boy, he came on like gangbusters. Was an integral part of that run for the Braves. That World Series championship in 1995. Closing it out against the Tribe right here in Atlanta.
Actually, you finished with 3 saves and only 2 blown.
Ah, okay.
Full count, Alonso. And he earns a walk with 1 out here in the 4th.
Shut the fuck up.
First free ticket from Miller. Not happy with himself. And here's Middlebrooks. Routed to second base, his first at bat. Breaking ball spins away. Ball carries well here in Atlanta. Dimensions are about normal, but higher altitude than you would think. Memory serves, it's the highest altitude of any ballpark east of the Mississippi. Pretty standard dimensions.
I remember back in the day, Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, they labeled that the launching pad. Well, it'd get hot in the summers. It was all enclosed. And we all know from school and science that heat rises. And when an enclosed area like that in Atlanta, it'd get up about 95 and 95% humidity as well. You elevate that ball.
Home runs at Boyle there. Huh?
Man.
So 2-1 to Middlebrooks. Be a nice spot for him to tie into one. Tie it up. Hit pretty well in left center field, but Maben has a beat on it for the second out. Alonso back to first. And here's Spanshenberg. He and Alonso combined for the run in the second inning. After fouling off 7 pitches, Spanshenberg doubled into the right field corner to knock Alonso home.
It looked like Will Middlebrooks was just a little bit out in front of that one, the back end going towards the dugout, and just all arms on the second half of that swing. Not enough oomph behind it. Didn't get the body behind it.
Too low, ball 1. 94 on the fastball.
Remember on that double he hit earlier in the game, the RBI double, it was a cutter in. See if Shelby Miller elects to go away, away, away. He was flaring them off over the dugout, down the left field line.
Center field, Maben going back on the ball and makes the catch. He started back casually, but needed all of his stretch to haul that one in. Nothing for the Padres in the 4th. They trail 3-1. Cunningham and Miller will bat for the Braves. They've just announced the Braves selection in the first round of the draft. They had the 14th overall pick, and they went for a young man out of our area, San Clemente High School, Colby Allard. Committed to UCLA, but being the 14th pick overall, undoubtedly will sign with the Braves. He's a left-handed pitcher. Congratulations to young Colby Allen. He is now on his way to becoming an Atlanta Brave.
You know, good for him. We wish him success. Exciting day for Colby.
Simmons grounded to Alonso first time. Again, the Padres had a 13th and 41st pick, but they lost both. One, the 13th in the James Shields deal, and the 41st for Craig Kimbrell. So they picked 51st overall late tonight. 0-2 to Simmons.
Hey, maybe that number 51 pick is a good omen as we take a look at the 2015 MLB draft. Braves and Padres, their selected slots.
It's going to be a tough play. Middlebrooks has to barehand and throw, and it's too late. Simmons runs too well. Infield hit. Middlebrooks did everything he could. Positioned himself for that barehand pick up and throw.
Yep. Playing too far back to play it on the big hop, so he had to wait till the second hop. But that number 51 slot, maybe they'll get some type of reliever in it. Remember 51.
51, that's
Trevor
right.
Hoffman.
Yeah, the numbers are working, huh? Todd Cunningham took a third strike his first time. Braves now with 7 hits, 3 runs, and a 3-1 lead. Young Cunningham 6 for 14 and the last 4. Yeah, the 70 through the first 75 picks, the Braves with 5 selections. That's the most of any club. We're going to get some talent.
Absolutely.
Slicing to left, and that'll fall into the crowd.
That's a whole infield. That's catcher, third, second, short, first. There's a future draftee. The kid can really go to his right. Is that a first baseman's glove he's got? You bet. That's great.
His night is complete.
Nice.
Took it away from his buddy Jones there.
That's great.
Took it away from Chipper Jr.
Yeah.
Ground ball to third. Middlebrooks to second to Spanshenberg. Back to first. Not in time. Cunningham safe on the fielder's choice. Simmons erased. 5-4. Well, draft day. There are a few that are the very first overall pick, and Justin Upton was one of them. 2005, 10 years ago, the announcement. Shy teenager, 17 years of age. Mama wasn't shy at all, as the Arizona Diamondbacks picked him as the first player overall. No question about his immense talent, and he's delivered that. Shelby Miller, while he doesn't have many hits in his career, he is an excellent bunter. Last year, he tied for the most sacrifice hits in the National League, 13.
That's great.
He's got a couple this year.
Yes, he did.
1-1.
You know, you figure if you're a starter, you start 33 games on the year. If you can get, you know, if you're doing great if you get 1 a game, 1 a start. Get up around 20, you're doing really well. Remember back in the day, it just seems like pitchers had more sacrifice bunts back in the day.
Somebody's got to get on in front of you in order to give you a chance. Oop. They had him leaning a little bit, but able to dive back is Cunningham.
Well, he can run, that's for sure.
Has a couple of steals. Might try a little bunt and run, huh? is. Good one. Norris throws him out. Spangenberg covers. Moves the man along. Let's go down to Chris Button. Chris.
Well, Dick, you named Justin Upton as the #1 overall pick, but on this Padres 25-man roster, there are 7 players who were the first pick by their teams, and you can see the names right there. Melvin Upton Jr., Ian Kennedy with the Yankees, Brandon Morrow, Yonder Alonso, Andrew Kashner, drafted by the Cubs, and then Corey Spangenberg, drafted by the Padres 2011. One note that I found really interesting, James Shields, 16th round. 465 players went before him that year.
So you never know. That's a good point. You Padres don't pick till 51st, but that could be a Hall of Famer someday.
Sure.
You kind of have the feeling, they have a big, huge board with, I don't know how far they've gone starting tonight. I'm guessing at least their top 100 are ranked, and then they get 51st. There's going to be somebody in the 30s that they have ranked in the 30s that's still going to be there for them. So that's all but a late first-round pick. Ground ball off the glove of Kennedy. Spangenberg there to back it up, and a 1-4-3 putout. That gets Jace Peterson. We go to the 5th inning. 3-1 Atlanta. All right, Mike, that's great. You guys monitor the draft. We have not heard here in Atlanta who the first player selected was. Maybe somebody can pass that along to us as well. Clint Barmas fouls it back, and quickly Shelby Miller ahead on the count, 2 strikes. Barmas grounded to third his first time. Ian Kennedy next, and then Will Venable. Kennedy has thrown 92 pitches. They'd like to get at least 5 innings out of him. Arizona had the first pick, and they took Vanderbilt's shortstop, and he was regarded as the choice. Dansby Swanson. Barmas fouls it away. That comes right next door. There's a pitcher at the University of California, Santa Barbara. He's supposed to go in the top 2 or 3 as well. Another foul.
right off the grill of A.J. Pierzynski. How many of those has he had in
I
his
was
career?
thinking the same thing in his career. If you kept track, how many hundreds of balls have been stopped by that catcher's mask? Barmes delivers a single to center field to lead off the 5th inning. Clinton's a battler, isn't he? With the
Yes,
bat?
he is. He battled that one. It was a fastball in.
Well, so far, here is the draft. This year, Swanson, these are just the number ones the past 10, 11 years now. Brady Aiken, the local lad, didn't sign with the Astros. Mark Appel. All those, you go down the line. Cole, Harper, Strasburg, Beckham, no, but Price, Ochovar, Upton. I mean, they've all made it to the big leagues and are factors.
Yeah.
Kennedy up there. See if he can successfully sacrifice. That's a good one. Brzezinski. Peterson covering. Kennedy does the job. Gets his man in scoring position for the top of the order.
Nicely done, Ian Kennedy. Got it done quickly as well. Perfectly and quickly.
Venable single to left field his last time and stole his 4th base. Struck out in the 1st. Good job with runners in scoring position this season. Pick up that run, pull within 1. Key in this series, if there's an Achilles on this Atlanta team, it's the bullpen. At the knees for a strike.
Nice cutter at 87, right at the knees. And down. Both sides of the plate. Shelby Miller has tremendous success.
Second baseman Peterson underhands in time. 2 away. Barmes over to 3rd. It's up to Derek Norris. Norris grounded to short, fly to left. 2 outs, runners in scoring position. He's been a money man, 9 for 24 with a couple of home runs. 14 runs batted in and 24 plate appearances. That is coming through in the clutch. Ball 1. Simmons, the shortstop, playing over in the hole, so the center of the diamond open for Norris.
Right through there, Dick. I've got a feeling if he gets something there.
Your favorite play, ground ball to the center fielder.
Yeah, and with Maben playing way over on the first base side of second base and center.
He got into his kitchen there, but foul. Well, Brady Aiken, who elected not to sign, then had Tommy John surgery. He was just selected the 18th pick by the Indians, so he's still a number 1 pick, but not the number 1 overall as he was a year ago. Ground ball right at the second baseman. Peterson there. And the inning comes to an end, and Barmes is left to 3rd. We're at the halfway mark in this one. 3-1 Atlanta. Rules of the trade, Mark.
We're going to take a look at the swing of Cameron Maybin on the left last season, now with the Braves. Watch the front foot. With the Braves now, high leg kick. Last year, a toe tap in the hands. Hands are lower. On the left, a bigger looping swing. And as we roll it, watch on the right with the Braves, the knob of the ball, the bat to the ball. It looks like it's a pitch inside, but he gets his hands in nicely. And working with Kevin Seitzer, talking with some of the Braves, they said Cameron Maybin and Kevin Seitzer are working very well together with his mechanics and getting his mechanics straight. With Kevin Seitzer, the hitting coach for the Atlanta Braves.
Well, he's a different player. Last 20 games, hitting .372. There's an RBI single in 2 trips tonight. Maybin, Freeman, and Markakis.
So the setup looked like the hands were a little lower rather than higher last year. Using a leg kick this year, whereas opposed to a toe tap last year. And shorter and quicker to the baseball.
Boy, that no question about that. You know, you look at that looping swing of a year ago. Into center field. That's going to fall in front of Venable. Maybin 2 for 3. Not exactly sizzling, but he dropped it into center for a base hit.
And you know, when you take a look at swings, a lot depends on what certain pitch it was and where the location of the pitch was. But let's take another look on that last one. There's the high leg kick. Okay, now he starts to bring that foot down. Now, where are the hands when the foot is down? Back, locked and loaded. And nice swing. Look at the front stiff leg, generating some power to the upper half, just like a pitcher. And throwing those hands. It looked like also the barrel of that bat going through the hitting zone, very level.
Freeman is 2 for 2. And the Padres do not have the shift on at the moment. Now they're moving Middlebrooks farther off the line.
So the swing path has a lot to do with it as well. And you know what? I've looked at Freddie Freeman all these years. He's got more of a looping. He's short to the ball, but the swing path of his bat has, it kind of goes down and up like an uppercut.
2 line singles for Freeman tonight. 0-2 the count. So the Braves are getting production from the top of their lineup tonight. Their 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters in the lineup are 6 for 10. And all 3 runs delivered by that group. Peterson, Maybin, Freeman, and Markakis. And Freeman goes down on an 89-mile-an-hour fastball upstairs.
How about the slide step from Ian Kennedy? Quick up on top of it, up the ladder, and Freeman cannot connect.
Padre bullpen is busy. Dale Thayer first up. Markakis a long out to left, and he doubled in a run, a double into the right field corner the last time. Maybin stole his 10th base after a single in the 3rd. Frank Garces, the lithe lefty, also tuning up for the Padres. They are the righty and Garces the lefty. Kennedy 2 pitches away from the century mark. 1 out here in the 5th. 2-0. 2 off speed pitches to Markakis.
And Freddie Gonzalez has his lineup pretty spread out, going back and forth, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, switch right. So not a bunch of righties together, not a bunch of lefties together, to where you can leave a reliever in there for 2 or 3 hitters.
Hits the outside corner at 91. Uribe on deck.
And the heavy workload early on, especially the third inning for Ian Kennedy. 36 pitches for the right-hander.
A lot of 3-2 counts plus 4 straight hits that produced the 3 runs. And Atlanta enjoying the 3-1 lead. Slap foul. Tomorrow night, our TV time here on Fox Sports San Diego, 4 o'clock, as it will be again Wednesday at 4. James Shields goes for 8-0. And young Mike Fultonavich, 3-2, will be the pitcher, right-hander for Atlanta. Runner goes. Out of play. Wednesday night at 4, Tyson Ross against rookie Williams Perez. Thursday morning, 9 o'clock, Cashner and Julio Teheran. Kennedy trying to keep the Padres close. They trail by 2. Hope that San Diego can muster some business with 4 innings to go. Maven goes. Ball is hit in the air. Third baseman Middlebrooks. For the second out, Maven back to first base. And tonight's game presented in HD by Sony 4K.
Well, looking at Ian Kennedy tonight, the pitch count is a story, but also remember we said we're going to keep an eye on the velocity. Still 91-92 for Ian. I saw a 93 earlier in the game, but to me that says that his mechanics are in order. It's just a matter now of commanding those pitches. Still within this ball game, only trailing by 2. But the pitch count, as you mentioned, Dick, the full counts, the deep counts have gotten Ian Kennedy.
The veteran Uribe has struck out and flied to right. 6 full counts. Kennedy worked with tonight. He got one up to 94 tonight.
Nice. The 76, a curveball. His changeup is usually about mid-80s. Remember, it was a curveball to Nick Markakis in that third inning that drove in a run.
Changeup had him way out in front.
Oh, he doesn't get cheated, does he?
Now he'll hang up his spikes one day and say, not one time, but I take a soft swing. I gave it everything I had.
Just don't hang up a breaking ball middle in.
Foul back. Shelby Miller, just looking ahead, he's thrown 72 pitches through 5 innings. So you figure he's good for at least a couple of more.
Let's see what they put down here. Slider, cutter, down and away. Shaken off to the changeup.
Tied him up inside. And that is strike 3 swinging. 6 strikeouts for Kennedy. As we go to the 6th inning, the Padres need 2 to tie. It'll be Justin Upton followed by Kemp and Alonso for San Diego. 3-1 Atlanta leads. Padres on the board first. Alonso singled, went to second on a ground out. Spangenberg doubled him home. But former Padre Cameron Maben tied it up with that sharp single to right, scoring former Padre Chase Peterson. And the hits continued. Freddie Freeman driving one through the left side. That got Maben home at a 2-1 lead. And Markakis doubled into the right field corner. And that scored Freddie Freeman. And that's where you stand. 3-1 Atlanta going to the 6th inning. Upton up twice, has struck out both times facing Shelby Miller. Kennedy appears to be through for the night. 107 pitches in 5 innings. 3 runs earned, 8 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts. To Hopper to Simmons at short. Ooh, he almost waited too long.
Yeah.
Upton hustling up the line. That was a pretty close play. Another ground out for Shelby Miller. Brings up Matt Kemp.
That was a routine ground ball. I only got him by like a half a step. Simmons just taking his time out there at shortstop, making up the difference with that arm.
Kemp is tapped to the mound and struck out swinging. Out of play. So while Atlanta has produced in the first 4 hitters 6 for 10 and the 3 runs, the Padres have no hits. Well, check that. 1 hit. Venable single. But Norris, Upton, and Kemp were in the collar. Fly ball to right, hit pretty well, but right there is Markakis. 2 away.
Well, like I said earlier in this game, Shelby Miller very aggressive with the fastball. And while we have a moment, this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the San Diego Padres. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, but the accounts and description of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the San Diego Padres.
Alonso has been on base both times. A single and scored the Padre run. He walked the last time. That is the only walk given up by Miller. Starts him off speed. Looks as if it'll be Dale Thayer in the bottom half of the inning. James Shields will be on the hill tomorrow. Ground ball sharply, but right to Peterson. Handles it nicely, and the inning is over. A quick 1-2-3 inning for Miller. We go to the bottom of the 6th. It's still 3-1 Braves. Make that fans of the game. Wild and wacky guy. Happy birthday. Little Mickey Mouse. Padre jersey. Having a good time. This poor guy been beaten up on all night long by that Atlanta fan. Foam rubber tomahawk. Our fans of the game and our pitching change brought to you by El Cajon Ford.
Well, a whole situation, even though the Padres trail by 2, he has to hold the Braves at 3 as we get into the 6th. Pretty good numbers right there for lefties for Dale Thayer, but 280 clip for righties and a couple of home runs. Overall, pretty good numbers for Dale Thayer. You can expect 93 miles an hour. Does a good job at working to both sides of the plate. A lot of Padre fans here in Atlanta.
A.J. Brzezinski starts it in the 6th and a strike at 93. Good sign. That's the number, 93. Brzezinski doubled to left and struck out, facing Kennedy. Again, Kennedy 107 pitches, 5 innings, 3 runs, 8 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts. He continues, as he did last year, a strikeout per inning pitched. Watch out. Line drive back into the lower tier. See, where the Players Association, after what happened in Boston, that woman hit and seriously injured by a shattered bat, are trying to encourage owners to put the netting up all the way around to the corner of each dugout. A ball like that would be maybe into the net and not into the crowd.
Absolutely. You know what, Dick? I'm all for that. I really am.
The argument is that fans paying a high price for those box seats don't want to watch the game through a screen. But chopped by the mound, charged by Spangenberg, has to hurry, but gets the slow running Brzezinski.
Well, would they rather watch a baseball game through a screen or watch it with one eye patched from a hospital bedroom?
Excellent point. The other is those seats behind home plate are high price seats. And
absolutely.
Through the netting. I haven't heard any complaints about that.
And you know what? With technology these days, if they could put a guy on the moon, they could make a netting that you could see through. That's like fish wire. That's clear. That has tremendous strength to it.
And who knows, in a heavy flood down here, you catch a nice bass.
Absolutely.
All kinds of benefits.
Yeah.
There.
But you see these families, and
no, it's scary, isn't it?
They bring the kids to the game, and
they're not paying attention.
Exactly.
They're talking to them. They're looking at their cell phone. Simmons has grounded out and beat out a base hit to third base his last time. Well, hockey, back when I was watching as a kid in Detroit, they just had the plexiglass behind the goals. That ball drilled high and deep. But not carrying well tonight, and Venable squeezes the second out. And now pretty much it covers the entire ring.
Absolutely. Hey, don't forget to fill out your 2015 All-Star Game ballot and support your favorite Padres. Yeah, get on it. Derek Norris, Justin Upton. They need your help to get voted in. So vote for these All-Stars up to 35 times at Padres.com/vote or with the MLB.com @bat app.
Todd Cunningham, the switch-hitting outfielder, is struck out, safe on a fielder's choice. It's I went to bed the other night chuckling to myself, thinking that would be a good skit for Saturday Night Live. A bunch of high-priced Major League Baseball executives sitting around a mahogany desk wrote and saying, how many? 20? How about 35? How about, isn't 35 a nice number? Oh, my. Hey, you've got to lose yourself,
That's right.
On the road. You look for some humor, man.
after finishing his rehab assignment in El Paso. I talked to him today. He said he has not felt any pain in that left foot in about a month. He got 50 at-bats, batting .280 during his time with El Paso. He said he found out about a week ago that he would probably be brought up during this series. He said, hey, if it's Atlanta or Pittsburgh or Cincinnati, I don't care where. I just want to be back in a big league clubhouse wearing a major league uniform. And talking with Buddy Black today, he said, I think this guy still has a lot to give. And if he's healthy, I believe he can get to the same kind of numbers that he had when he was with Tampa Bay. So not in the lineup today, is available off the bench. You may see him a lot against lefties, Dick.
All right, thank you, Chris. Chopper by Middlebrooks to third, and Uribe makes the play for the first out here in the 7th inning. Upton is now 30 years of age. Here's his 50 at-bats at El Paso, 1 home run. He has 139 career homers in the bigs and a lifetime average of .243. He was a #1 draft pick of the Rays in 2002, the 2nd selected overall. His brother selected first by Arizona. And as a Brave, here he is in action. At base hit to right center field. He's got good speed. And that's a game winner. Spangenberg, RBI double and a line drive to pretty deep center field. May have been caught going away. Miller breezed through the 6th inning on only 6 pitches, which should help him and his goal to have another complete game. He has 2 complete game shutouts this year, one nearly a no-hitter.
There's that fastball up again at 95. He will be aggressive with that fastball up in the zone. And there you see the breakdown. Heaviest workload in that 2nd inning at 17, but still that's pretty darn good when the average is like 16.6 or 7 pitches during a big league ball game.
And that's all for Spangenberg. He goes after the high delivery. It's 8 in a row now retired by Miller. Time now for the Cholula flamethrower.
And with Shelby Miller out on the hill, I think I smell some picante sauce coming our way. At 97, that is some kind of hot. With movement, with the cutter, movement with the 2-seamer, 4-seamer maybe runs just a little bit up.
Barmes with a single and 2 at bat, single to center field his last time. Brandon Maurer now warming up along with Garces. Oh, 0-2.
There's that cutter.
Again, to underline his season, Miller has the 3rd best ERA in the National League and the 3rd best batting average against in the major leagues. 187 opposing hitters batting against his deliveries.
Boy, as a hitter, you really hate when that happens. What just happened to Clint Barmes. Fastball up and in that rides in, and you check your swing with no intent, and the ball hits your bat. You find yourself 0-2 rather than 1-1.
Lifts that one down the right field line. If it drops, it'll be a fair ball. It does drop into fair territory, and by the dive of Markakis, and Barmes keeps right on going. He has a stand-up triple with 2 outs here in the 7th. Not hit hard, but he parachuted it just inside the line, and Markakis trying for the dive, and that gave Barmes a couple extra bases.
Well, and with 2 outs, probably not the smartest play by Nick Markakis as he lays out. He's better off playing this one on the hop, keeping Barmes at first base.
A chance for the Padres to chip away at that 3-1 lead. Jan Solarte is going to pinch hit for Dale Sayers. It's a big opportunity for the Padres. Put some pressure on Shelby Miller and the pitching staff and the bullpen of the Braves. See if Solarte can deliver. Over but low. His average has dipped down to 249, but 24 runs batted in. That's in there, 1-1. Well, so many of the players from Latin America and South America. And they don't qualify for the draft, so all of them are free agent selections. That's something else that seems strange.
Yeah.
They should be in the pool and be drafted like everyone else.
I think there should be an international draft. Everybody gets into the pool, and you select whether it's from the Pacific Rim, Japan, Korea, Dominican.
And some teams have been way ahead of the curve there. The Padres have not, but that's why H.A. Preller, one of the reasons he was selected, because he's so knowledgeable about baseball in those areas. 2-2 to Solarte.
Another fastball up for a called strike.
Barmas at third with 2 away. The Padres trail 3-1.
Roger McDowell, pitching coach for the Braves, on the phone.
That dreaded wave is the noise you hear in the background. Ground ball left side. Can it get through there? Glove by Simmons. A long throw, and he gets him. That's the Gold Glove there at shortstop. And the Padres leave a man at third again. Stretch half of the 7th inning here in Atlanta, Georgia. Simmons and the Braves with a 3-1 lead. Brought to you by Saquon Casino, only 25 miles from Petco Park. By Jack in the Box. Try the new Double Jack today only at Jack in the Box. And by Sony, the leader of 4K Ultra HD. Capital city of Georgia. Thriving Atlanta. And the Braves' home base, Turner Field, at least for this year and next. And Frank Garces comes in for the Padres. He'll face the bottom of the order. Chris Johnson is going to pinch hit for Shelby Miller. The Padres are going to get into the bullpen after all. Johnson has been on the injury list. He's played only 23 games, a left hand fracture. Now finally back joining the club. Brings a power bat.
That's why it's ever so important for Frank Garces in the bullpen for the Padres now to hold these Braves. You're going to have 2 cracks at that Braves bullpen.
Miller has to ball play him, and it goes into left field. He had a choice, charge it or lay back, and the second bounce ate him up. It's called a hit.
Yeah, he initially backed up on it. I think he had plenty of time to play the big hop. And that ball just skips right by him.
No leadoff man here in the 7th aboard, and to the top of the order, Chase Peterson. He's grounded out twice, singled and scored. Ball 1. So Peterson 1 for 3. Maben hitting second is 2 for 3 with an RBI. Freeman hitting third, 2 for 3 with an RBI. Markakis an RBI double in his 3 at bats, and they're the ones who have done the damage in the 3-1 Atlanta lead. It's one of those, I'll show my hand as late as I can, maybe get credit for a sacrifice, or get a hit out of it.
Well, now he's having a chat with Bo Porter, the third base coach for the Braves.
Three runs, 9 hits for the Braves. 1 run, 5 base hits for the Padres. Not many chances, but they have left Barmes at third the last 2 times he's been aboard. Couldn't bring him in. Another foul at the plate. Cameron Maben to follow. Freddie Gonzalez Braves are under 500 at 27-29, but are only 3 games off the lead. The Mets in the National League East.
Jim Johnson,
former Oriole Jim Johnson, and Milwaukee Brewer.
Well, Jace Peterson, tough to double up. Only 1 time he's grounded into a double play this year. He's got some serious speed.
A ground ball sharply. Spangenberg rolls it by Barmes, and everyone is safe. Well, a great stop. He kept it out of center field, but he just couldn't get his toss to Barmes airborne. He rolled it, and that'll be another infield hit. A pair of scratch hits here to open the 7th inning for the Braves.
This ball is hit so hard that I think Corey maybe had more time. I think he had more time to gather himself a little bit, whether it's from his knees or whatever, rather than making the spectacular play.
Yeah, Chris Johnson was only halfway to second.
Yeah, he had plenty of time. Just rushed it. That hurts.
So you put 2 men on with infield hits, and now you got Maben and Freeman and maybe Markakis to deal with. Bud Black talking to Garces and to Spangenberg.
This is one of those situations where Bud Black just wants to have the whole infield in there and make sure everybody is on the same page. When you look at Cameron Maben tonight, he has singled both ways, both times, to right field in the 3rd and in the 5th.
Maben right at the moment hitting at 300. There's the RBI single to right field in the 3rd that tied the game at 1. Stole his 10th base. He leads the Braves, and then he scored. Freeman single on defense made one of the typical plays of Maben.
Now in this situation, different pitcher. Frank Garces, breaking balls down and in. Remember I said Maben had 2 hits tonight, both to the right side. Well, with the breaking ball of left-handed Garces, be heads up, Will Middlebrooks. I mean, I think he's going to be swinging here.
I do too.
With the way he's swinging the bat.
Padres are set up as if he's going to bunt. Alonso's charging from first.
Maybe he is going to bunt. If I remember correctly, Cameron was not the best bunter as a Padre. He really didn't do a good job at that. That's why with the way he's swinging the bat now, I'm guessing.
He has 1 sacrifice hit this season.
Or Freddie Gonzalez is thinking, hey, you know, with my bullpen, I want to get 2 runners over.
He's swinging.
Yeah.
A ground ball to short could be 2. There's one. Spangenberg to first. A double play. The first twin killing of the night, and does that come at an ideal time for San Diego? 2 quick outs as Johnson moves to third.
First pitch swinging down in the zone. That'll work.
Now we got to get rid of Freddie Freeman, who is 2 for 3. Knocked in a run in the third. Atlanta is second best in the National League. Runners in scoring position. They're 2 for 8 tonight. Now Garces get the tough Freeman. 3:06 as he stands in. Freeman.
And the only part of the Braves lineup where they have the back-to-back lefties. Freeman, Markakis waits on deck.
The shift isn't on, but Spangenberg is way out in shallow right field. Two and 0. So a couple of infield hits from Johnson and Peterson. Maben obliges the Padres with that 6-4-3 double play ball. And are they really going to pitch to Freeman, or do they have designs on having better luck with Markakis? Kevin Quackenbush begins loosening up in the Padre pen. Johnson still tuning up in the Atlanta bullpen. 92 on the fastball. There's the Quackmeister.
Now Freddie Freeman average plus power. Markakis average minimal power. Let's keep everything away here, just like the Fox track shows us.
It's in there. Got a call.
Did you see that reaction Freddie Freeman gave after that call? Did you see the reaction? Watch this reaction. Oh, if a pitcher ever did that on a ball that he threw was a strike and called the ball, that pitcher would be thrown out of the game so quick.
That's really a good point.
You wouldn't hear the end of it.
That is a good point. Umpires treat pitchers totally differently from hitters. All right, 2-2. That's way outside.
Hitters.
Yeah, you can't live with them, but you can't live without them.
That's right. Okay, well, he threw him a breaking ball there, way off the plate. I'm guessing another breaking ball here. As I mentioned, first base open. Markakis on deck. Would be the worst fate if you walk him here.
Johnson at third with 2 outs. And he took a pretty tight pitch there to be that secure. That would have be ball 4. So that little show up of umpire Hemmel may have influenced that borderline call. First and third for Markakis.
Well, let's take a look at the last 2 pitches. It looks like Fox called that last one a ball. It was off the plate. There's the breaking ball. That's a called strike. So Frankie Garces got a call against Freddie Freeman, and that one Fox said it was off the plate. So ball 4.
Yeah, but it's at the knees, just inches off the corner. Here's Markakis. 3-1 the score. Runners at first and third. 2 outs here in the 8th. Padres got 2 more shots at it, and thank goodness Shelby Miller's gone. He's completed 7 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. He's flied out deep to left, doubled to right, doubled in a run, Markakis, and popped up to third. 1-1. Not by much. 2-1. Now he's in trouble. 3-1. He's already walked Freeman. Now Markakis sitting on a 3-1 pitch with Juan Uribe next. If he doesn't get Markakis, one guesses that Quackenbush will come in to pitch to Uribe. And another walk. Bud Black can't be happy. You bring in the kid to pitch to the two left-handed batters, and he walks both of them. And a pitching change apparently about to be made as Bud Black goes to the mound. With right-hander Uribe scheduled to hit next. Black takes the ball. That's it for Garces. And we'll break. Be right back. Quackenbush is the new pitcher. 2 outs, bases full.
Yeah, when you've got 2 lefties against Frank Garces, that's the main objective. You come to the ballpark, you've got that one lefty into the bullpen, and you try to get those lefties out. Not the case for Frank Garces. So now Kevin Quackenbush has to clean it up with the bases loaded. No room for error here against the free swinging Juan Uribe.
Uribe has struck out twice and flying to right facing Kennedy. So critical to get out of this jam. Give the Padres a chance. There's only a 2-run lead, and Padres will hit from the top of the order in the 8th inning against the bullpen. Johnson, Freeman, and Markakis aboard. Starts him with a breaking ball. Bases loaded this year, just 4 chances, 0 for 4. But he's hit some long ones, 5 slams. All with the Dodgers and Giants. .88 inside.
Good fastballs away. Down should get Uribe. The outfield played that way, swinging towards the right field side. But remember, Ian Kenny got him out in consistently.
Ground ball sharply, and it hit the runner, and that'll end the inning.
Wow.
Freeman going from second to third, didn't get out of the sharply hit ground ball. I'm guessing that Barmas might have had a chance on it. That was going to be a tough play for the shortstop, but Freeman hit by the ground ball. You can credit Uribe with a base hit, but the inning comes to an end. All right, let's go to the action here, the top of the 8th inning, and Will Venable trying to bunt his way on. So stay with us after the final out from Atlanta. There'll be a nice review of all the key selections in the draft, including maybe we'll have the news on the Padres pick. Certainly those from our Southern California and San Diego area. So Jim Johnson, the veteran right-hander, comes in. And a foul. Venable 1 for 3 as well. Johnson, 25 innings. He's allowed 25 hits and a couple of home runs. And the bullpen for Atlanta, very generous, 4.86 ERA.
So 2 cracks at it for the Padres. Johnson fastball, curveball, change, heavy on the sinker. Last 3, 1 earned run in those 3 outings. A couple of hits. Mid-90s.
Right center field, a long run, and that ball's going to clear Maven. And on to second goes Will Venable with a double. That's the way to lead it off. Padres' 6th hit tonight.
Well, the two-seamer elevated a little bit off the plate. Boy, that's great plate coverage by Will Venable. If taken, that is probably a ball, and he gets out enough to where he splits the right center field gap.
Almost a one-handed swing.
Yeah, very nice.
Venable a single and a double, and that takes us into the heavy hitting end of the Padre order. Norris, Upton, and Kemp. One swing from a tie. 3-1 Atlanta here in the 8th. Norris has grounded out twice and fly to left.
Well, Derek Norris last at bat. Look at the swing. Look at what generates so much power on the. He broke his bat.
And the barrel landed on his back. Unfortunately, not the spear end. 2-0. Norris with 35 runs batted in, more than any catcher in baseball. And he has more extra base hits than any catcher. Outside, 3-0.
Time to make some hay for these Padres.
Norris can afford to be very selective here. Force Johnson to throw a strike. He doesn't. He puts the tying run on. And with that, Joaquin Benoit starts to throw in the Padre pen. Oh, they green light him 3-0. Fly ball sailing into foul territory and into the crowd. A couple of rows back. So he got a chance to swing at that 3-0 pitch. Couldn't do anything with it. Justin Upton would be next. High fly ball to right field. Markakis is there. Tagging is Venable. He'll move to third with one out. And Upton the batter. Justin Upton coming back to Atlanta in a Padre uniform. Struck out twice and grounded to short so far. Chance to do some hurt to the Braves. Matt Kemp on deck. Well, Johnson worked his way out of trouble. He was 3-0 down to Norris. Got him to foul out on 3-0 and fly out on 3-1.
Well, if you're going to be behind by a couple runs, this is the perfect scenario you want, right? Run around third base. You've got Upton and Kemp due up next. You got Alonso. Wait, and hopefully you get to him.
Atlanta infield playing back. They'll give up a run.
Hey, that's a foul ball. My goodness, now I've seen it all.
Ball was right at his head. He ducks under it, and it hits his bat for strike one.
So rather than 1-0, it's 0-1. You have got to be shaving me. That is unbelievable.
That's a mean pitch at the head, and it's tailing right in on him.
Oh.
He's just happy that he still got that helmet in place. You know what that is?
That's baseball, and that's bad luck.
Yep.
I am very grateful, though, it didn't hit him in the head.
Ground ball, that'll get the run home. Simmons with his throw across. And it's the 3-2 game as Venable comes in on Upton's 38th RBI of the season. So a one-run game. And Kemp up with 2 outs here in the 8th. Kemp is tapped to the mound, struck out and fly to right. Benoit throwing in the Padre pen. Luis Avalon working for the Braves. .95 on the fastball. Lefty Avalon. Yonder Alonso is due up after Kemp, so if Kemp gets on, we may see the lefty. Backs him off. 2-1. Ground ball, fair ball, and Uribe takes care of business. Padres settle for a run on one hit. After 7.5, it's 3-2. On to MercuryInsurance.com today. See how much you could save. By Petco, what we feed them matters. By Kona Brewing Company, one life, right? Don't blow it. Mahalo. Well, the Padres scratch out a run in top half of the inning to make it a 3-2 game. Quackenbush stays on the mound. Brzezinski, Simmons, and Cunningham scheduled for Atlanta. H.A. doubled to left, struck out and grounded out tonight. Four o'clock tomorrow afternoon back home, and it'll be James Shields on the mound for the Padres, looking for that 8th win against no defeats. And young Mike Foltynewicz, he's 3-2. He'll be pitching for Atlanta. Off the fist, into the shift. Shortstop Barmas makes the play on the second base side. Brings up Simmons. Infield hit in 3 at-bats. James Shields. Casual tonight. All business tomorrow. Looking ahead to the 9th inning, the Padres have Alonso, Middlebrooks, and Spanchenberg scheduled. We could see the debut as a Padre, Melvin Upton Jr.
Jason Grilli, the closer for the Braves, warming up for the Braves.
Veteran right-hander. He's good, but he's not exactly a Aroldis Chapman.
Good point.
So Padres have managed a lot of comeback wins. They get another chance tonight. Quackenbush trying to get through this 8th inning and keep the Padres within 1. But he falls behind Simmons, 3-0. Pumps that one down the middle. Ground ball, Barmes takes care of his counterpart Simmons. 2 away. Here's the National University standings in the NL West, where the Dodgers a half game in front of the Giants. The Padres just 3.5 back. Arizona 4.5. Colorado 6. In a very tight division. This is the most contentious of all the baseball divisions. Everybody right there. Todd Cunningham 0 for 3. Has struck out safe on a fielder's choice and grounded to first. One and one. That's in there. 1-2. Joey Tverdoslavich, recently recalled, is on deck. This Braves roster has some tongue twisters. 1-2. Got him swinging. Ball in the dirt. Record the out at first. 2-3. And down go the Braves in order in the 8th. Here come the Padres. A run to tie, 2 to win. Against Mike Fultonavich, right-hander. Shields goes for 8-0. Mr. Reliable, and we'll get a chance to see one of the many young arms of the Atlanta Braves as they're rebuilding that pitching staff. Someone tonight, 24-year-old Shelby Miller.
Yeah, we're going to see a good fastball tomorrow, a good curveball from Fultonavich.
Enter the 38-year-old Jason Grilli. He pitched his first big league game back in the year 2000 with the Marlins.
Fastball, slider, curveball, 92 to 96. He's got a four-seam fastball.
Spells out probably a loved one. This is his 466th major league game. Made good on 15 out of 16. Saved so far as he replaces Craig Kimbrell in the Braves bullpen. Alonso 1 for 2 against him. Middlebrooks 0 for 3. Spangenberg 1 for 3. Alonso a single and scored the Padres' first run in the second inning when Spangenberg doubled him home. He has walked and grounded out since. 2-0. Padres have done well this year coming from behind. St. Louis 16, LA 15 comeback wins. The Padres there at 14. Padres have had some 3-0 and 2-0 pitches and just haven't been able to take advantage. Alonso trying to climb aboard for Middlebrooks and Spangenberg. Oh, that ball right down the middle to Alonso. And then he comes back with a breaking ball.
Yeah, that's a good breaking ball from Gurley. That's the slider. He also throws a curve ball.
Alonso on Saturday producing that grand slam home run on the way from 6-1 down. The comeback win 9-7 against the Reds.
Yeah, he needs to work the count here to 3-2 and get a fastball. What he did in Cincinnati. Breaking ball coming, fastball.
And another foul. So the Padres trailing 7-3 on Saturday, and Alonso worked the count in his favor and deposited that shot off the top of the wall for a grandmaster. Tied it at 7. Kemp with a 2-run single in the 8th inning. And the Padres had a joyous 9-7 comeback win.
Fastball.
Might have been off the plate. It was, but he protects.
I believe it was pitch number 9, correct, in Cincinnati that he hit the grand slam. Well, he's up to pitch number 7 right here. Maybe another foul ball and then number 9 to tie it up.
A little deja vu, you're thinking. (3-2) Atlanta leads. Alonso leading off the 9th. Ooh, that was a pretty good pitch. Almost caught the entire circle in the zone.
Trax had this as a strike. Breaking ball.
There's a case of the catcher letting the ball carry down instead of catching and freezing it, and locking it there so it looks low. And another foul. And this battle continues. The 10th pitch coming up. Kimbrel hoping he gets a chance. Feeding the furnace out there. Some seeds.
Another fastball.
Drive down the right field line. Fair ball. Bounces up against the 330 sign and then over a ground rule double. That's what you're talking about. Just like Cincinnati. Works. Fouls him off. And then punches one for an extra base hit.
And he misses big time with location. Really wanted it down and away. Foot down, hands back. Let her rip, big boy. And he does just that. Into the stands for the ground rule double.
10th pitch of the at bat.
2 times this evening that the Braves pitchers have gotten hurt with pitches inside. Spangenberg earlier off of Miller, and now Alonso capitalizes. He wanted that one down and away.
Yonder continues his outstanding hitting, batting over 350 on the season. Middlebrooks grounded out twice and fly to center. Here's situational hitting. Try to get that man over to third. Better yet, knock him in. Big hole in left center field. Ball 1. Kimbrel optimistically starts tuning up along with Benoit.
If they tie it, it'll be Benoit. If they take the lead, obviously Kimbrel to try to shut it down.
Dave Roberts ever at the side of manager Bud Black, bench coach. They're thinking ahead. Play a chess game of baseball. It looked as if Middlebrooks wanted to hit that ball to the right side.
Everything's away with Freddie Freeman at first base. Jace Peterson playing back at second base. And outfield playing him to go the other way. A lot of stuff away from Grilly. That was a breaking ball down and away.
Line drive over the shortstop head would really play nicely here. That one goes into the upper tier. Spanshenberg to follow. Leadoff double, Alonso representing the tying run at second base. '94 up the ladder. Middlebrooks wouldn't bite. Padres one in the second and one in the eighth. The Braves got all three of their runs in the third. Oh, got him to chase. Ball well out of the strike zone, but Middlebrooks went after it with the first out.
Well, right out of the gate, first pitch fastball, and then Grilly goes a little soft away. Now it goes back to the fastball, trying to get him hard, soft up there around the letters. The breaking ball away to finish him off.
Look who's in the game. Melvin Upton Jr. to pinch run for Alonso. The fans treated younger brother Justin more kindly. Melvin was a disappointment his 2 years here. Plenty of speed now carrying that tying run. Spanshenberg knocked in the first run with a double into the right field corner, fly to center field, and struck out. Fastball strike. Clint Barmas with a single and a triple on deck. One and one. Melvin Upton carrying the tying run with one out. Leads from second. Good layoff, 2-1. He throws it away, and Upton's going to go to third base, and now the Padres can tie it with an out.
Wow.
Grilly with the error. That's the second error tonight, both by Atlanta pitchers.
Daylight play was on. Simmons sneaking in behind, flashing the glove, and Grilly working underneath it. Not even close. Remember, as a pitcher, you do not have to throw that ball. You can hang on to it. He elects to throw it. And Melvin Upton Jr. is 90 feet away with only one out.
And forces the Atlanta infield in tight. 2-1 to Spanshenberg. Sharp ground ball. Find a hole here and tie it up. Three and one. Spangenberg got the Padres on the board in the second inning with this double into the right field corner, scoring Yonder Alonso. And the early 1-0 lead.
Remember that at bat, a lot of fastballs away, fouling them off, fouling them off, fouling them off.
It's the count in his favor, 3-1.
Miller came inside, he turned on it for that double.
Fly ball to left, and that's forcing Cunningham back. That'll get Upton home. He makes the catch. Upton heads for the plate, and the Padres tie it at 3. Boy, Upton pulling up a little bit, and then the relay, and that almost became a disaster. And the fans unhappy, not with the tie, but unhappy that Upton was the man who carried the tying run.
Well, Cunningham going back, tags.
He's not going full speed, and Simmons came over on the cutoff and made a strong throw. That shouldn't have been that close.
And that's why it's so important to hit the cutoff, man. Look at this transfer.
Second RBI of the night for Spangenberg, so the Padres battle back and tie it. Barmas, single and a triple, was left at third base on both attempts. But as predicted, the bullpen giving up a run in the 8th and another here in the 9th. And the throwing error, but really trying to pick off Upton at second, setting up that tying run. One and one. No, he said he went. First base umpire Jerry Meals. 0-2. High fly ball to right. Marquez settling under it. That's it for the Padres. But a double, an error, and a sacrifice fly, and they have tied it up at 3. Who's going to play first base? We'll find out when we come back. Jed Jerko as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Jerko, a good athlete, and he probably has fooled around a few times at the bag.
Yeah, getting used to that glove over at first base rather than a smaller second baseman's glove at second base as Joaquin Benoit comes in as the Padres tied it up. Great splits, great numbers for Joaquin Benoit. Almost a strikeout per inning pitched. And look at those splits. Lefties 175, righties 0.075.
Joey Trudaslovich will be the pinch hitter, batting ninth. And then the top of the order, Peterson and Maven. Anyone gets on Freddie Freeman. Trudaslovich was injured in spring training, a left wrist sprain, and it kept him out of active duty until just a week or so ago. Benoit just misses, ball one. Three tie, bottom of the ninth. High pop fly left side. Farmas, Middlebrooks. One away. Jed there at first base saying, come on, I want that one. Hit one to me. The attendance tonight, 21,458. Chase Peterson, Cameron Maben, the two ex-Padres collectively are 4 for 8 tonight. Changeup. Peterson grounded out, single to left in the third inning, and that started the string of 4 straight hits and 3 runs scored, the 3 total for Atlanta tonight. He singled, Maben singled, Freeman singled, RBIs. Double Markakis.
Well, I'll tell you what, if Benoit can get out of this, it looks good for San Diego because they got to their closer. I mean, that's a blown save. Jason Grilli. Now he's probably out of the game, no doubt, and got to deal with the rest of the bullpen, which hasn't done well this year at all.
One and two. Grilli's throwing error on the pickoff move at second. Critical to move that man over to third where he could score on the fly ball by Spangenberg. Ground ball pulled to Spangenberg to Jerko. Look at Jerko handle that big glove over there. 2 away. Cameron Maben. 2 for 4. Singled in a run and scored one of the 3 runs in the third inning. He was up with runners at first and second and no one out last time in the 7th and knocked into a critical double play. The Padres got out of that inning without the Braves scoring. In fact, they wound up leaving the bases loaded.
Hey, let's not forget now where Cameron Maben started this spring training, right, with the Padres. Maybe carried a lot of that work over to Atlanta. We know how well of a job Mark Kotze and Alonzo Powell do down there for the hitters. So Cameron spent a lot of time with those two cage rats.
And then was traded just on opening day or just before opening day.
Maybe taking those notes with him and coming to Atlanta.
That's a good point.
But remember, he started as a Padre.
Spent the entire spring being tutored by Alonzo Powell and Mark Kotze. There's a strike at 84, the changeup. Maben has 5 home runs with the Braves, most ever in a season, 9. Slider from Benoit. 1 and 2. Tough play. Middlebrooks with a great scoop and throws him out. That's a do or die, and Middlebrooks delivers. And we go extra innings. 1, 2, 3. Benoit takes care of the Braves in the 9th. Top of the 10th. It'll be the 9th spot in the order. Venable, and then the Padres, Derek Force, as they try to author another comeback win. Our Bill Howe plays of the game, produced by Corey Spanchenberg. An RBI double back in the second inning for a 1-0 lead. And this sacrifice fly getting Melvin Upton Jr. home and tying it up at 3. Boy, it's almost a little too casual for Melvin Upton Jr. So it's only the third time all season Atlanta's been in extra innings. They're 1-1. The Padres are 2-2. And those were our Bill Howe plays of the game. Corey Spanchenberg, only 6 RBIs coming into the game and a couple of big ones tonight. Veteran Nick Massett is the new Atlanta pitcher.
And Nick Massett sports a fastball, cutter, curveball split, 90-94. Little two-seam fastball from Massett.
Another former Cardinal. And Jed Jerko bats for the first time, hitting in the 9th spot. One and one.
Really?
1 and 2.
It was about 6-8 inches outside.
Outfield giving Jerko left center. And now you have to swing at that one.
Yeah.
When you called the previous pitch a strike, that ball was well off the plate as well. Venable and then Norris to follow here in the top of the 10th. Padres selected him in the second round 5 years ago in the draft. I would think he's going to see something outside again.
Absolutely.
And high.
Well, for Massett, more hits than innings pitched, 20 and 16 and a third, as Will Venable waits on deck. 8 earned runs in 16 plus innings.
Ooh, he hung that one. 3 and 2. Started the season with the Marlins, did Massett. Pitched in 8 games out of the pen and was released and picked up by Atlanta.
And opponents are hitting .313 off the right-hander.
Full count. Struck him out on ball 4. One away.
Well, up the ladder. I'm not sure that was his intent. A.J. Brzezinski was set up down and away, but swung on and missed.
Will Venable, a single and a double in 4 at-bats. Brandon Maurer was up earlier in the game, getting loose again. Kimbrel, just in case, is in the area. Single and a double and a run scored for Venable. It was his double leading off the 8th inning. He came around on a ground out by Upton to make it 3-2. As they got a run off Jimmy Johnson. One and one. Derek Norris on deck. Veteran Massett is 33, a big guy, 6'5" and 240. Did some good work with the Cardinals. Shot to the hole, and there's Peterson to throw him out. Wasn't hit that hard. Off the bat, looked like he might drive that one through, but didn't have a lot of oomph behind it, and Peterson able to range and make the play.
Hey, to his right, to his left, plays that one, spins towards the glove hand side. Plenty of time to fire a strike on the move.
So Massett gets the first 2 hitters, and here's Derek Norris. Oh for 4 tonight, Norris. 2 flyouts, 2 groundouts. Up high. 2-0. Justin Upton hopes he gets a chance. Kimbrel getting loose now. Tough time to manage the bullpen. Oh, he got a pitch up high right down the middle. 2-1. Weak wave at that one. 2-2.
Well, how sweet would it be if the Padres can take the lead in this game and then have Craig Kimbrel come in to save a game for his 200th career save?
Yeah, he's sitting on 199.
That would be sweet.
Popped him up. Shallow right. Back of second. Peterson wants it. And Nassett works a 1-2-3 10th inning. Braves will bring up Freeman, Markakis, and Uribe.
Diego catch an all-new episode of SD Live when columnist Kevin Acey and the original Loose Cannon, he's from Extra 1360, Steve Hartman stopped by and talked the latest on Padres and Chargers news. That's tomorrow after Padres Live right here on Fox Sports San Diego. And you know what? We might get a sneak appearance by Judson Richards. He might stop by as well. So stay tuned.
Can't miss television here on Fox Sports San Diego as Brandon Maurer comes in. 27th appearance for Maurer, who has been outstanding.
Well, he's been throwing the rock very well. On the road, tie game, pressure situation, but Brandon Maurer has proven he can do just that and succeed.
And a change in the defense behind him. Jerko comes out. Amrista goes in at shortstop, and Barmas moves over to play first base. Freddie Freeman singled his first 2 times up, struck out and walked. Maurer, the 6th Padre pitcher. A chant Freddie, the Braves fans. 1-1. Freeman, Markakis, and Uribe scheduled here in the last of the 10th. Shift on. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. A changeup gets Freeman. 1 big out. Open the 10th.
Well, that's the old trapdoor changeup for Brandon Maurer. Look at in the glove, the circle change grip. How about the changeup coming in hot at 88? Why? Well, he throws a 96, 97 mile an hour fastball.
And if taken, that would have been strike 3 as well.
Absolutely.
Perfectly placed. Markakis, long out to left. He doubled in a run. The third run scored in that 3-run third inning. He's popped up and walked since. Foul tip, strike 1. So the infield, Middlebrook still at third. Amrist enters the game at short. Spangenberg at second, and Barmas moves over to first base. High chopper. Spangenberg has to hurry. The throw just in time. Boy, that took a quick catch and throw from Spangenberg. That was a kangaroo hop.
Oh, it's all in the transfer. Corey Spangenberg knows the play in front of him. Hot potato. And Corey Spangenberg doing well in the state's capital in downtown Atlanta. And Clint Barmas, first sacker.
Third first baseman used tonight. Here's Uribe, and ball 1. Struck out twice, flied out, and infield hit his last time. Off the fist. That's another tough play. Middlebrooks, the throw across. Just in time. Spangenberg and Middlebrooks with 2 fine plays, and out go the Atlanta Braves in order in the 10th. On to the 11th inning. Padres 3, Braves 3. Upton as an Atlanta Brave, a walk-off home run against the Dodgers. Melvin Upton, BJ then shearing that one over the fence. So he knows how to get it done here at Turner Field. He'll be leading off here in the top of the 11th inning. And he'll face Cody Martin out of the bullpen, the fifth pitcher used by Freddie Gonzalez.
And Cody, you see the splits. Boy, righties having their day with them, huh? 328 average, 3 home runs. Lefties not so much. The 182 clip. Martin throws a fastball, slider, curveball, 89 to 93. Pretty basic. A strikeout pitcher, 24 punched tickets in 21 2/3 innings. Seems like big hits, though, with that 4.5 ERA.
He's given up 23 hits in 21 2/3 innings. 4 home runs. Breaking ball, just missed. "25 years old, Martin." On the outside corner. Picked by the Cardinals in the first round in 2009, the 19th overall pick. correct that. I'm turning one page too many. Picked by the Braves in the 7th round 4 years ago. Tended Gonzaga. Check swing. Did not go. 2-2 to Justin Upton. Matt Kemp and Alexi Amarista to hit.
What do you think, Professor?
I think he held back.
Really?
And the count goes full. Out of play. One of the great basketball NBA guards, Gonzaga, Utah Jazz, John Stockton.
That's right, yeah.
And the crooner, Bing Crosby.
No
attended
kidding.
Gonzaga. And Cody Martin.
Very nice.
Having tested his singing talent. Another foul. Upton would like to get these Braves to sing the blues.
I like where you're going, Professor.
Full count. Padres with single runs in the 8th and 9th to tie the game at 3, and we're now in the 11th. Ball 4, leadoff man on. That's only the second walk by Braves pitching tonight.
Trying to pepper away that outside corner and could not find it. And a great way to start this 11th inning.
Matt Kemp 0 for 4. A couple of ground outs, a strikeout, and a fly in.
Talk about big home runs late. Extra innings. 23 of them for Matt Kemp.
That's a pretty good total, isn't
Extra
it?
frames, you bet.
Well, he knows how to get the job done. Again, the Braves, as they've done all night, playing right-handed hitters to hit to right, and a huge gap in left center. See center fielder Maben way over in right center. Can't even see the left fielder.
Ball 1 and a dandy. Hey, multiple base runners this inning. Put some pressure, some serious pressure on Martin.
Opposing hitters batting .288 against Martin. Two and 0. So he falls behind Kemp. It's just all window dressing. That doesn't mean much in this situation. 2-0. They're not going to pitch out. Maybe it's to throw over.
You know, some managers will go right hand hot, left hand decoy, right hand hot, left hand in pocket, or at the side. So many different ways of relaying messages and signs to the catcher.
Out of play.
I remember hearing when Tony La Russa was managing with the Cardinals, he wore his jacket a lot. So, like, if his left hand was in his pocket, the signals were hot. If it was out of his jacket to give the right hand signals, it was just decoys. So many ways you can go about it.
It's really an art form.
Yeah.
Try to decipher the code. Action pitch coming up. 2-1 to Kemp. No one out. Upton at first in this 3-3 tie. He goes. It's a strike at the plate, and Upton has stolen his 12th base. Leads the Padres. He was the first man in the majors this year with 10 home runs and 10 stolen bases. Now he's equaled his home run total with his 12th steal.
Well, you can almost smell that one coming. A lot of breaking balls from Martin. The slow breaking ball enables the runner to get up maybe a step and a half.
And Kemp sees him going, takes the pitch.
And Pierzynski, I mentioned it earlier, stay on that bag. There you go. Pierzynski only throwing out 13% of base runners this year.
A little ground ball to the right side would play rather nicely. That one sails way upstairs. A walk and a steal. That's as good as a ringing double for the Padres. Upton. No one out. Trying to break this 3-3 tie. Amarista entered the game and hitting where the pitcher was last place in the 5th spot in the batting order. Alonso's spot.
Drive to deep left field. It's in the corner and it is off the wall. Upton will score. Kemp into second base with a double, and the Padres lead 4-3. Matt Kemp, who's had a solid road trip swinging the bat, drills the left field boards with an RBI double, his 32nd run batted in, and Upton with a walk and the steal comes home with a tiebreaker, 4-3.
We showed you that little graphic of extra inning home runs for Matt Kemp. 23 in bonus frames. Well, you know what? A double will do just fine with the runner on second base. Thank you very much. Matt Kemp taking a hanging breaking ball. And look at the reception on the bench. Loving it here in Atlanta.
And Freddie Gonzalez wearing out a path to the mound, goes to the bullpen. Inning, and the Padres lead 4-3 in a pitching change. Luis Avalon, a left-hander, coming in, and Mark Kotsay into the book. They've got something on every pitcher, and he's going it over with Alexi Amarista and Will Middlebrooks as to what they can expect from Avalon.
Always having those scouting reports on the bench, so hitters can go up to the plate and know exactly what is going to be thrown and what has happened in their past history as Luis Avalon comes in. Boy, lefties 300 clip. Lefty on lefty 300. Righties, he's got him at a 167 clip. We got a lefty-lefty situation here.
Amarista with a dozen RBIs. They're in at the corners expecting a bunt. And he squares and doesn't come close to putting it in play. Amarista, when he's running for base hits, is very good. When he has to sacrifice, he's not the same player. He has one sacrifice hit all season. Trying to get Kemp over to third.
Yeah, I want to bunt it down that third base line to bring that third baseman in here. So a hard bunt to the pitcher. The third baseman can't retreat back. Get back. Oh.
They throw to second base, and Kim goes to third. They had Kim picked off, but he was so far off second that he went to third. The throw went to second. The Padres got the man over there without the bunt. A stolen base for Kim.
That was beautiful. As soon as A.J. Pierzynski came up firing, Matt Kemp had a good secondary lead. I think you can chalk that one up to a good secondary lead by Matt Kemp. He committed. He saw the throw. Keep going.
And now Amarista drills one to deep right center over the head of Maben. Walking home is Kemp. Amarista pulls up at second with an RBI double, and the Padres lead 5-3. A walk double. That's the kind of libation you like, a double. And the Padres celebrate a 5-3 lead.
Getting a fat pitch and all over it. Boy, Alexi putting that swing on that one right there, and Cameron maybe kind of playing on the shallow side. He beats the defense. Had that good sound to it. Matt Kemp can stroll home, and the Padres adding on here in Atlanta, and ain't that some kind of nice.
Brings up Middlebrooks. And he sends one high to right field, tagging is Amarista. Markakis makes the catch. Amarista can stroll over to third, and with one out, the Padres can pick up even another insurance run. It's up to Corey Spangenberg with a chance for a 3 RBI night. Doubled in a run in the second, brought in the tying run with a sacrifice fly in the ninth. Infield in. Uribe, Simmons on the left side, Peterson, Freeman on the right side. Infield tight, hitter's delight for Spangenberg. A couple of runs here in the top of the 11th for San Diego. All started with a leadoff walk to Upton and then the stolen base. Kemp off the left field wall with a double, got Upton in, and Amarista long drive to right center, scoring Kemp. Fouled at the plate. Looking ahead to the last of the 11th, the Braves have Brzezinski, Simmons, and Cunningham down the bottom of the order scheduled. And as of now, we're going to see Craig Kimbrell returning to Atlanta and a chance to save his 200th game. One out. Amarista third. 2-1 to Spangenberg. Got a bad little spot for a safety squeeze here, you know?
Not a bad idea. I like the way you're thinking there, Professor.
And he fouls it off. 2-2. Clint Barmas on deck. Got him. 2 away. Not the same hitter against the left-handed pitcher.
Hey, stay tuned after this one. Tonight after the game on Fox Sports San Diego, right here, watch Padres Live. Of course, the two best guys in all of pre- and post-game shows, Mike Pomeranz and Mark Sweeney. They're going to talk about the MLB draft breakdown, first few picks, first round, and also, how about another Padre comeback win, question mark? Well, got some baseball left. That's Padres Live. We're going to also have Bud Black press conference right after the game here at Fox Sports San Diego. And as always, brought to you by Cox.
Barmas has a couple of hits tonight. A single to center and a bloop triple to right. 2 for 4. Amarista eager to get in from third base. Infield now playing back. 0-2.
Oh, 95 from the left side from Avilan. A nice night in the big leagues for Clint Barmas. Hey, Professor? 2 for 4, triple and a single.
Quietly down in that number 8 slot.
Yeah, good for him.
Austin Hedges is in the on-deck circle. Barmes chases, strike 3. So the inning ends with the put out 2-3. Avalon gets Spangenberg and Barmes, but the Padres get a couple of runs in the top of the 11th. RBI doubles Matt Kemp and Alexi Amarista, and it's San Diego in front 5-3, and here comes Kimbrel. Kimbrel is an Atlanta Brave, the all-time saved leader here in Atlanta. And with his 13 for the Padres this year, rests on a 199 mark. Looks for his career 200th save and give the Padres another comeback win. 186, the all-time save leader, ahead of Hall of Famer to be Judge Schmoltz. And 13 with the Padres, looking for 14, and that comes out at a nice little number 200.
Well, last time out for Craig was in Cincinnati on Friday. Inning, a hit, a walk. In fact, I take that back. It was on Saturday.
Sunday he pitched as well, didn't he? No, it was Saturday. You're correct. But he got in trouble. He wound up with the bases loaded and the tying run at the plate. Brzezinski doubled, struck out, grounded twice to second. Spangenberg in shallow right, but the shift is not on. He's just playing deep. 2-0. 98 on the fastball. As his ERA would attest, Kimbrel has not exactly been lights out every time coming in. Eases up that 98 for a strike. 2-1. ERA of 4.29 is totally out of character for this hard-throwing young right-hander. Big hop to Barmes. That's a room service put out. One away. Brings up the shortstop Simmons. Infield hit in 4 at-bats. Remnants of a crowd of 21,458 working the tomahawk chop. Must seem strange to Kimbrel out there on the mound hearing that against him rather than for him. Simmons bends off the plate. That breaking ball, you got to respect. You're looking for that 98-mile-an-hour heater. You see it coming toward you. You're not going to wait for it to curve.
It's called the equalizer, huh?
Yeah. What a pitch. Throws him another, but misses low. Todd Cunningham to follow. .97, but misses. 2-1.
I would have to say that the adrenaline's pumping a little bit for Craig Kimbrel right about now.
You can imagine he has a home here, neighbors, friends, you know, his former teammates. He wants to do well. 2-1. Outside corner, 2-2 at 99.
Hey, 99 down the middle, even though it's straight, tough to hit. You paint that outside black, makes it even tougher, and hard holding back the smiles to the Padres on the bench. This has been quite a battle up to this point.
Yeah, but he goes 3-2. Make him hit to get on. Up the middle. Ranging is Amaristo. The throw to first in time for the second out.
There you go. Good pitch down the middle. Tough to square it up. As I mentioned earlier, right down the middle. So he challenges him. First pitch, breaking ball for a strike. He goes double soft on him. Fall behind. Okay, now I'm going to try to paint. Working all the way back. Corner. Missing again. So I was thinking, you know what? I'm just going to go for the outer third of the plate, make him hit my best stuff, and he wins. Winning.
Todd Cunningham. 2 strikeouts and 2 groundouts. First time this young man has seen Kimbrel except in spring training. And he looks at a curveball for a strike. The fates of this game to bring Kimbrel back to Atlanta, sitting on 199 saves. Who's writing this stuff? Ground ball to first, but foul. Armas there to glove it cleanly. And the Braves are down to their final strike. Struck him out. The ball game is over. Craig Kimbrel with his 200th save. The Padres coming from 3-1 down to tie and win in the top of the 11th inning. A couple of runs and a 5-3 victory. Great way to start the series in Atlanta. The final again, San Diego 5, Atlanta 3. We go to Mike Pomerantz.